Struggling to get your business online? At Domains2U, we make it easy with fast domain registration, powerful web hosting, and top-tier security solutions. Our hosting solutions ensure speed, security, and reliability with 99.9% uptime and daily backups. Find the perfect domain name and get online in minutes. Get started today at domains2u.com.au.
Well, good evening, race fans, and welcome back. This is round 7, the penultimate round of the Domains2U MCV8s series, season 2, brought to you as always by MC Motorsport and broadcast right here on Simple Racing Broadcast. And where else would we be for our second endurance race of the season than the legendary Mount Panorama circuit here in Bathurst? Tonight, the drivers are tackling 90 minutes of racing on one of the most challenging tracks in the world, in some of the most challenging cars in the world, where walls are never far away and every lap will demand absolute precision if you're hoping to take home a win tonight. It's a very, very good evening to you all at home. Lovely to be back with you. My name is Jared Cole. I'm joined, as always, in the booth tonight by Dean Biggles-Hopton, and we are getting ready for what will be a pretty cracking round. Before we get into the championship standings, though, of course, we do have the top 10 shootout to bring to you, which took place last night. And wow, what a season of racing we've had so far. The top 10 shootout bringing all of the excitement that we have come to expect. So let's, without any further ado, get into it and check it on out. So Biggles, welcome back to the booth, my friend. I hope you've had a good weekend.
I have, my friend. I'm absolutely pumped, of course, because it's Bathurst. It is our Monaco. It is our Silverstone. It is our Spa, and it's our Coda as well too, or it's our Daytona and Indianapolis. It's everything rolled into one, and this track proves it's first you have to conquer the mountain, and then worry about the rest of the cars that are on the track with you. So absolutely looking forward to this one, my friend. Who's not? It's Bathurst. If you're not Australian, and you're not into V8 supercars.
Or, you know, just racing in general. Such an iconic track, it really is. Jackson Starrett, the first out on circuit, and you can see already as he starts to head up the mountain for the first time, a bit of a moment there on the way out of that turn. Just a little wobble as he went up and over the ripple strip. The first sector of 22.67 as he starts to make his way up towards Sulman and then heading towards Skyline. In what is one of the scariest pieces of racetrack that I think you'll find just about anywhere in the world. It's high speed, it is high stakes, every chance of an issue as you come across the top here. And then, of course, the descent, a very, very steep one. And you can see as he comes down through the S's now, getting ready to take on the dip before accelerating towards Forest Elbow. Handles it pretty nicely. Of course, all showing purple sectors so far. But as the first on track, you'd kind of hope so. A bit of a moment there. Big lockup, controls the slide, manages to hold on to it through Forest Elbow. Doesn't end up in the wall. That was a very, very good save from Jackson Starrett. Could have been much worse as he heads on down Conrad Straight.
Yeah, of course, the only problem for Jackson is he's got no other benchmark to go by at the moment, so he's going to be setting the absolute first benchmark, and all you got to do is put that out of your mind there and say, okay, I'm going to put a lap in, just ignoring the fact that even if you were the 10th place driver to come out there in the top 10 shootout, you've just got to think, okay, I've got to do the best lap that I can do, concentrate myself, and nail this one, and then sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the 9 other drivers and try to compete against this first time he's going to set.
Now, Bathurst has to be one of the trickiest tracks, I reckon, to actually run a top 10 shootout. So we see Starrett cross the control line. His time, a 2:08.824. Not a bad start, honestly. It's probably not likely to be the quickest here tonight, but it is reasonable as a starting point. As we see Henry King making his way down to start his flying lap. The biggest issue with Bathurst as far as top 10 shootouts go is that the risk of crashing out and not recording a time is so high, and so you really have to constantly balance the risk factor against wanting to record a really quick time. I mean, you're guaranteed of a top 10 start, but passing opportunities at Bathurst are few and far between, and so you really do want to be as far up in the field as you possibly can. It's honestly, it's such a tough call for any driver to decide on how they're going to approach this one. Henry King about to get on the brakes for the first time. And
you're absolutely right, Jared. Well, he's absolutely chucking it around. Of course, he's going to be climbing his way up the hill now. Well, the thing is, too, it's, as you mentioned, it's very difficult to overtake. And it's also a danger zone to be in that mid pack there, because we've seen so many accidents. It's a track blocker as well too. There could be a good chance of a caution coming out. You want to be up that front. You want to be able to just say bye-bye to all that carnage behind you, and then sail on into the sunset here in New South Wales, my friend. And he's sailing that thing close to the fence as well. So that's how you have to flirt with Bathurst, my friend. You buy it some flowers, and then you chuck it into the corners, and then down the hill. You just basically got to lift the car. It's almost flying down here, and that's perfect. And then the biggest thing to the drivers, you want to get the elbow perfectly. You want to nail that apex, because you got that long conrod straight to deal with. And if you don't get the momentum and the speed out of that corner, it's going to suffer you about 10, 20 kilometers down. Right now, good exit out of elbow. It could be good for a lap here.
Down Conrod Straight we go. Yeah, Henry King, look, he's looking pretty tidy at the moment. As we said, Jackson Starrett's time not likely to be the quickest. In practice sessions, we did see people dipping into the very low 207s. From what I recall seeing a little earlier on. So, you know, a 208 is certainly not on pace, and a high 208 at that, but he did keep it out of the wall, and that's got to count for something.
Yeah, well, actually, Jared had 203s, but they were set by the Porsches, so they don't count in the series.
Yeah, we're not going to count the safety cars, are we? Henry
They're out there
King
doing laps
across
right
the
now.
line. Well, why not? Safety cars haven't been called on much, and as we suspected, 1.1 seconds faster than Starrett, a 207.7. will put Henry King to the top of the table after the first two. Let's see what Luke Speck has to say about that as he comes through and comes down towards Murray's Corner for the start of his flying lap. Luke Speck, of course, one of our AM Cup drivers. Only a couple making it into the top 10 shootout, I believe, from memory. Luke Speck and Ryan Palmer, I think, were the only two. There could have been a third, but I'm sure we'll find out in due course. As I said, this was run last night, so this is, of course, recorded footage from that top 10 shootout. Unfortunately, I don't have my telemetry to refer to make sure I know exactly who was in it. But a bit of a slower start for Speck.
Well, yeah, it's just like it's live at the moment, isn't it, to us? We don't really know some of the things. Like Specky for the number plate as well, too. He's got the 3 in there. That's something I wonder if Specky actually has that in real life in his car as well, too. But here we go. The Sideways Esports don't want to be flooding it too sideways into the mountain, my friend, because the mountain conquers all. We all know that here in Bathurst. But you want to be chucking that one down the hill here. So let's see, keeping it clean, that's right. I mean, that's something that the rest of the drivers, like Henry King at the moment, be sitting there going, okay, come on, go out there and tangle with the fence a little bit there. That'll help me in my perhaps my 2.0 Jackson Starrett's time, actually. But 207.7 on the dial is the time to beat. Now, and crucially important, flying it down the hill at the moment, this is when Luke Speck has to get the elbow all correct, my friend. Coming up very soon. It's just blind corners after blind corners after blind corners, isn't it? You're literally just chucking the car in there, closing your eyes and praying that it sticks.
Absolutely. Very tidy, though. Probably not using as much of the track as you'd usually expect. But again, that's that balance between risk and reward. And so far, look, my math isn't great, but he's not a great deal behind Henry King's time. Maybe a 10th off at the moment. So at this stage, I'm going to say probably 207.8 he's on track for here. Again, my math might not be brilliant at this time of the evening. Maybe 207.9 as he completes sector 5, almost line ball with Henry King's time. Let's see what he's got as he comes down to Murray's Corner. A difficult corner in its own right, but keeps it very, very smooth through there. Crosses the line.
Shortest path to the line as well, too. And went across the track there, 207.9.
So just shy of a 208. Not too bad. Still 0.3 off Henry King's time as James Selhani comes over the little hump before pit entry through Murray's Corner and starts his flying lap of the mountain. Selhani, of course, has been pushing pretty hard all season, but hasn't really translated to any podium positions at this stage. He's sitting, sort of mid-pack at the moment in terms of championship points, but certainly can put the pace on from time to time. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do here without any other cars on track. As he gets down the hill, hitting speeds of around about 250k an hour before getting hard on the brakes .139 off King's time, so a little bit slower through there. The exit out of Hell Corner, so important, isn't it, Biggles, for that top end speed?
It was. He was very gingerly. Didn't go really out wide. He wasn't using as much of the track as possible. Maybe just a little cautious in that one. A little bit of wiggle coming out of the exit there. It's he's playing a little bit safe, of course. You don't know the conditions that they were trying to warm up the tyres on the out lap heading into this flying lap at the moment too. But you can. That's the beauty of Bathurst, my friend. You can make up some time. You start to start evenly matching the time now. Sector 2 on King. This is where it could come alive, my friend, and you can make or break it for the rest of these sectors at the moment. But he has dropped a little bit now down the hill. Could he be one of those masterminds using those track limits as well too? As you can see, a bit of those kitty litter kicked up there as well. Now he's throwing that car into the corners. Now he's flirting with the fences. That's how you got to conquer the mountain, my friend, and that's what saved them some time here. Sector 4, but it's hit the fence.
Into the wall goes Salhani, and that'll be the end of his run. Really unfortunate for James Salhani, and so easy to do, locking up into Forest Elbow. That downhill section is a dangerous one at best. It's really, really tough to keep all four tyres spinning while getting the speed down to one that you can take that corner safely. So Aaron Gilbert now out warming his tyres up. He comes down into Forest Elbow. That's really unfortunate for Salhani, so he won't record a time. He will start 10th on the grid tonight.
Yep.
And
he might not be the only victim of the mountain as well too, my friend, because they're going to be chucking in. And that may be a little bit of a subject, and that's something you've got to get out of your head too, with a spotter and so forth, to say you're down after those first two sectors. He needed to make some gains up there, and so he's absolutely chucking the car in there, trying to make up for it down the hill. And unfortunately, that's when those little mistakes start to creep in. We'll see how Aaron Gilbert's going to be able to tackle the mountain for his first top 10 shootout qualifying. First and only top 10 shootout qualifying run.
Yeah, that's one of the joys of these top 10 shootouts, isn't it? You've got to give it everything for one lap. You don't get a do-over. I mean, sure, you're guaranteed a top 10 result, but
this is exciting. This is how Formula One should do. I say should do qualifying. Just they used to years ago. Just like that's it. You know, everybody gets one shot, one lap. That's it. Make or break. If you make a mistake, you're starting in P10. And you know, we don't get to see that. But you tune into every car and you watch every single lap for that one driver focused on. You got your telescope out, you got your binoculars. You're only looking at one person, and all the pressure is mounted on them for that one crucial moment. That's what I love about it. And he's looking pretty good too, Gilbert.
Yeah, bang on Henry King's time, just a little bit quicker, 5,000ths of a second in it at the moment. Goes 300ths quicker, so again, just a little bit quicker as he climbs the mountain for the first time. Well, second time, I suppose. We've got to count the outlap. But he's heading on up and comes down in towards Skyline now, about to hit the S's. This is where it's really going to get interesting.
Oh, he's chucked it around, hasn't he? Using the track limits, exactly.
Another 700ths cut off there. This is looking really, really good for Aaron Gilbert. He has to hold it together, though, down through the cutting. So far, so good. Through the dipper. Sorry, I don't know why I always get the dipper and cutting confused. They're both cut into the mountain.
I know, it's a mountain, exactly. This is crucial. He got a good exit. He got a good exit here.
2/10
out of the elbow.
That is a huge gain.
Yeah, not activated, of course, but this used to be the Nissan Skylines used to absolutely hammer this one. Of course, they added the little chase part into there as well to slow him down a little bit, which is also going to bring a little bit of overtaking up. Look at the track limits he's using. He's making sure he's going to get it right. A little bit of heavy braking, of course, swinging it over to the right and then swinging it back to the left and the right, of course.
This should take him to the top. This should take him to the top.
And Murray's, if he nails it, he's got it.
Yeah, shouldn't even need to go super quick through. He could pulling 2/10 out in Sector 4. That is a big gain to complement the ones that he's made earlier. And there it is, a 207.389. So goes 3/10 in the end faster than Henry King. Really, really solid run there from Aaron Gilbert. So the worst he'll be starting at this point is pretty well mid of the top 10. Here we go, Ryan Palmer, another of our AM Cup drivers in the Domains2U Chevrolet. Have a look at the intensity on that man's face.
Oh, it's concentration. He knows it because it's one lap, as we mentioned. So he's even glazed up the screen there. Maybe he's got a little idea of what's been going on at the background there, making some telemetry information that drivers like to have. But got to make sure you nail the first corner there. It's Hell's Corner for a reason, because it's a painstaking hell ride up the mountain if you don't get it hooked up perfectly, which will cost you about 2/10. I think Ryan's even Stevens on the money on this one.
Tell you what, every time we cut to Ryan Palmer, I find it so difficult to reconcile the serious look that he always has on his face. He takes this very, very seriously, and yet that SpongeBob helmet, it throws me every time, Biggles.
Well, but then he turn to his $10,000 rig that he's probably putting this money into as well too, and he can do that.
Goes quicker.
So he has gone quicker, and he's gone very close at the moment. That's crucial. You've got to hug the fences here.
So loses it again in Sector 2. So what's that? 200ths down now. So we'll call that pretty well line ball. He's gained a bit in the first sector and thrown away almost the same amount in the second sector. Gains almost 2/10 in Sector 3. Very quick across the top of the mountain. I know Ryan's put in a lot of practice laps.
Yeah,
very tight
sliding a little bit. That's not too bad. That's how you tackle the mountain.
He's lost about the same again. Look at this, up, down, up, down. He's keeping us on the edge of our seats here. Just can't seem to hook the sectors together. He just needed to be a little bit tidier coming down the hill, but all's about even at the moment with Aaron Gilbert's time. Let's see what Sector 5 brings as he comes down Conrod Straight and towards the chase.
Oh, he's flying it in.
Bang on.
He's
7,000's the difference. This is all going to come down to this final sector.
Yep.
I'm just trying to do the maths. What's that? 200th down through the first two. Another 100th up in the second. So he's 100th down. There's going to be nothing in this. He should be on a 207.3 here. Maybe a 207.4. Let's see what he gets as he crosses the control line. Good exit out of Murray's. There you go. 207.45. Only 600th of a second to Aaron Gilbert. And Ryan Palmer props himself into the number 2 spot. As we go to driver number 7, Ethan Johnson, the late entry to this season. This privateer has been making some waves as he's put in a couple of really strong performances. Again, hasn't translated yet to a great deal of points. He hasn't been up the podium end of things too often, but he's certainly got a decent little turn of pace. Unfortunately, a couple of incidents bringing him unstuck has been the main downfall for him in the races that he has been a part of so far. But let's see what he can do here around Mount Panorama as he goes into Hell Corner and straightens it up onto Mountain Straight. Very nice exit using all of the track there. Here we go, full noise up Mountain Straight. Gotta love hearing these things.
The mountain. I've been listening to a V8 supercar in Mount Panorama. It was like one of those things you tick off. Yeah, there, he's quick as well. So we saw that early. And if you want to calculate if this driver is going to be putting in a good lap and his racing, well, Lake's Computer Customs, my friend. My custom computers will sort the job out there. I was trying to bring that pun into there.
I like it. I like it.
He's crunching all the data right now as he's driving. He's gone quicker too.
So up by just over a 10th now. Big slide, just keeps it out of the wall as he goes up through Reed Park. That was very, very well controlled. And again, out close. Well, that's what you need to be doing. Really just pushing the limits out there without actually making contact. That's probably the one difference between iRacing and the real V8 supercars. The real cars, they're not afraid to use that wall a little bit to really just bounce off.
Oh yeah, you got to trade paints with the barriers and Bathurst, my friend.
Yeah, look at this pace though, Johnson. Oh, big lock up there for his elbow.
Yeah. But that's okay.
That's okay.
It might carry the momentum. Yeah, and it will. He's up in all the sectors currently at the moment, looking strong here.
Up about 3/10 at the moment, so we're looking for a 207 flat. Can he actually get into the sixes? There's the question. What does Sector 5 bring? Heads down towards the chase. Full noise here. Another 100th, 200ths off there. I reckon he's on track for just inside the 207s. Again, we're relying on my maths here, Biggles. That's probably not the best idea, but this is going to be a very, very quick time. Could we see our first 206 of the night?
Oh, that's 3/10.
I mean, he's on track to through the first 5 sectors.
Yeah. Well, let's see whether or not Mr. Ethan Johnson can prove this one.
There it is, 206.951. What a lap from Ethan Johnson into the sixes, and really sets the tone for the last couple of drivers. We've got Will Buchanan from Revolution E-Racing. He's out on track, the AITT sponsored car making its way through the chase. He'll have seen that time come up. He knows he's got a fair ask ahead of him.
Benchmark's set now, isn't it? What makes it more difficult is you've got to get in a 206 club at the moment, and Will's got to just focus on that. In fact, I've said this before, if I was an engineer, I wouldn't even tell these drivers what the times are. I'd go out and drive it like your $20 million contract's over at the end of this race.
Because it will be if you don't get it right.
Yeah.
Buchanan going up Mountain Straight. Again, full noise. Decent exit out of Hell Corner. Let's see what he's got as he gets up towards Griffin's Bend. It's interesting. I haven't quite managed to figure out why this is referred to as both Griffin's and Quarry Bend. And it just seems to depend on who you're asking. It's really bizarre how many racetracks have different names for the same corner. Anyhow, this is definitely the cutting, and a very, very smooth exit there for Buchanan. Did lose, though, almost 2.5 tenths, and loses another 2 tenths through Sector 2. This is going to be a much slower lap if he doesn't get a move on. But to come back from 4 tenths down through the first 2 sectors is going to be a huge ask for any driver. Over Skyline, another 2 tenths. This is looking like, if he keeps this up, this is looking like it's going to be closer to a 208 than it is close to a 206.
Yeah, he's down, but
down another couple of tenths.
Thinking, at best, you're going to be trying to secure yourself somewhere at least in the top 5 would be a task here for Will Buchanan. Going back to that one as well, too. Griffin's Bend, of course, was named after Sir Martin Griffith, the mayor who initially created the circuit.
Well, there you go.
Do you want to get back to that one, my friend?
Yeah. I appreciate that, Biggles. Always the man on the spot with the trivia. Have a look at the pace. Buchanan on, so finally gets a green sector there. Sector 5, just a tiny bit faster than Ethan Johnson. All in all, about a second down. Expecting this to be probably just enough to take 5th off Luke Speck. But there's not going to be a lot in it. Let's see what Buchanan's got as he comes across the line. Can he beat Luke Speck's time? And he does, but only just 4/1000th of a second quicker than Speck is enough for Buchanan to go to the front of row 3. So he'll get just a slight advantage over Luke Speck at this stage. Thomas Hins now from Team Jinx Shifters, one of the championship frontrunners.
Oh yeah, keep it on this man.
And then, of course, the last man to run, his teammate Brett Loxton, after this. So it will be very interesting to see which of these two comes out ahead.
And they're going to want to beat each other as well. That's the thing. It's going to be bragging rights between the teammates, and for sure, Thomas wants to be the one that's going to be sitting on pole. If he can obviously knock Ethan Johnson's fantastic time out here, the only driver here to do it by half a second over the rest of the field here. Thomas is in for a show here with the Wilson's entry.
Johnson has done a cracking job to run a 6. Hins is not far off the pace, so just shy of a 10th slower. So he's just on the wrong side of a 207 to start his lap, but only one sector so far. Let's see what he's got as he comes up through the cutting. Very tidy exit, no wheel spin, getting the power down nicely. Just a little wiggle over that bump, as we usually expect. Half a 10th further behind now.
He's on par.
Look, he is. Yeah. He's not far off. He's about a 10th down now, so we're looking at just over a 207 at this point.
He needs a good sector 3 here.
Oh, he does, absolutely. Another 10th off now.
Again.
Yeah, it's not much, but it's not going to be enough to take Ethan Johnson at this point. It will be enough, though, because of that massive chasm of a gap.
He's nailed it. If he can nail the cutting here, elbow, he's good here. He goes out wide. That is good. He scraped the fence. That's an exit on the elbow that you need. That's what they call it, the elbow. It's like you slap your arm against the fence there and you get the funny elbow. That's what you need here. Conrod straight, of course, because you literally want to be braking the rods in your engine going down Conrod Straight. That's how fast you need to be. That's actually the reason why it's named Conrod Straight. Slam those rods out of your engine bay. If it's afforded,
let them breathe the air. It's fine. Just gonna let them out to play occasionally. Just over a 10th slower through the 5th sector there. So I reckon this will still be good enough for second, though. He's got 4/10 of gap between first and second, Johnson and Gilbert. This should be just enough to slot him in somewhere in the middle, as Thomas Hins runs a 2:07.116, so just shy of 2/10 slower than Johnson's time. But here he is, the man that's been almost unstoppable all season. Brett Loxton coming down Conrad Straight, full noise, 285 kilometres an hour as he tips it in and gets ready to hit the chase. On the brakes at the 200 metre mark, doesn't want to mess this up before starting his hot lap, of course. So a fairly early break there, but he's getting ready to go for what will be the final run of this top 10 shootout. Let's see what he's got up the sleeve. Brett Loxton starts his flying lap.
Insert the music from Jaws. Dun, 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 dun. It is a shark, isn't it? I mean, we're a little far from the shores of New South Wales where there'll be sharks, but keep an eye out for this man, as he's on the hunt for pole position.
Mate, I've seen Sharknado. Anything's possible. They could be anywhere. Just depends on how far that tornado carries them, right? Something like that.
Yes, sir.
There we go. Just slightly quicker. Half a tenth through the first sector. That is a good start, but not unexpected from Brett Loxton, using all of the track there as the sun starts to set over Mount Panorama. And doesn't that purple livery look absolutely stunning in this light?
And he's looking good. He's looking solid.
This should be a little quicker as well, I reckon. There we go.
Yeah,
almost
using the
2/10.
walls. Trading paints right now with the fits in his air conditioning in that car, doesn't he? Fit that. Well, anyway, we're not even going to go into that spot. So look at that. That's what you need to do. You need to chuck this car in tooth and nail. But it's also easier said than done. We're up here in the air-conditioned commentary box, my friend, because one mistake, it's game over.
No mistake so far from Loxton, though. Cuts another 10th out for Sector 3. Let's see what Sector 4 looks like. Pretty well line ball. Another half a tenth, let's call it. This is looking like a mid-206 at this stage. Very, very quick. Just a little scrape of the wheel against the wall on the exit from Forest Elbow. And down Conrad Straight he comes. Let's see what Sector 5 brings. Can he go even faster here? Could he be looking at a 206.5? He's not far off. Oh, it'll have to be pole at this point, surely. Oh, another tenth and a half there. This is going to be a 206.5.
Ethan Johnson's fantastic early lap may have to see the second step of the grid, because Brett Loxton's just nailed Bathurst. And yeah, boys and girls, cats and dogs out there, if you want to know how to nail a quick lap around Bathurst, just look at what Brett Loxton's just done.
Absolutely flying out. 206.339, 6/10 faster than Ethan Johnson's absolute cracking lap earlier. That is amazing. Brett Loxton, take a bow. You have absolutely nailed that top 10 shootout. What a finish to that qualifying session. Loxton takes pole. He'll be ahead of Ethan Johnson, Thomas Hins, Aaron Gilbert, Ryan Palmer, Henry King, Will Buchanan, Luke Speck, Jackson Starrett, and of course James Salhani, not recording a time, will start from 10th. That is absolutely one way to set yourself up. As we come to race day, here we go. 90 minutes of racing ahead of us. We are getting ready to get underway in just a couple of minutes' time. Before we do that, let's take a quick look at the championship standings before this evening. Thomas Hins and Brett Loxton absolutely locked in at the top of the field, with Will Buchanan not far behind at all. Thomas Wilson probably just a little further back than being able to compete for a podium at this point. Ryan Palmer, what a cracking drive from this AM Cup driver. He's not going to be in AM Cup beyond this season, I guarantee it. He's sitting in 5th. Then Aaron Gilbert, Kyle Ridley, James Salhani, Josh Harris, the second place AM Cup driver, then Jared Burns rounding out your top 10. And speaking of AM Cup, the standings there, Palmer and Harris from ADHD have been absolutely smashing it out all season and really unstoppable at this point. Luke Speck, very, very commanding grasp on P3 there. I don't think there'll be much contest as to who the podium sitters will be come the end of this season in just 2 rounds' time. We've got tonight and then, of course, one more to finish the season. G'day, Nathan Allen. Hope you're doing well up in the race control room, my friend. We are just about ready to get underway here at Bathurst. I don't know about you, Biggles, but I am getting a little bit excited.
A little bit. I was
Just a
excited
little.
going into this 1 hours ago when I looked up there and go, where are we going? Bathurst. Thank you very much for the Simple Racing private jet that flew us down here into Bathurst. Thank you very much. The chicken's not the best, my friend, but the beef was really good. Hopefully on the road back. But
I'm just glad they gave you a bit of each, mate. That's what we'd like to hear.
Yeah, I had a bit of a sample. I said, no, the chicken got something else. But yes, and Nathan Allen is the fastest man around Bathurst this evening in the practice session in 203.36, but he's cheating because he's in a Porsche. The rest of the field
doesn't quite count, does it?
The V8 supercars. They're bashing their cars up at the moment in practice as well, too, at the end of it. And they don't realise that the team are going to sit there for about 5 minutes to chisel out all those repairs so that they can get ready to line themselves up in the grid, because we've already had our qualifying, my friend. We know who's on there. But one thing you mentioned in those championship standings was Ethan Johnson. Now, after that fantastic, almost pole qualifying lap, let's see what we can do in this race.
Well, that will be the question, won't it? Let's get ready to go as the grid gets set. Let's take a look at how they are lining up now. Brett Loxton and Ethan Johnson, Thomas Hinds and Aaron Gilbert, Brian Palmer and Henry King, Will Buchanan, Luke Speck, Jackson Starrett, James Salhani. That is the order for the top 10. To go further back, Josh Harris and Kyle Ridley on row number 6, then Matt McKee and Ron Long ahead of Vince Salvatore and Martin Lipsky, Adrian Gresh and Thomas Wilson. Then Jamie Dyke returns for the first race in quite some time. Then Robbie Bradbury in 20th. Behind him, Chris Lashbrook and Jared Burns make up the 22 entries here tonight. Race control, Pete Manette and Nathan Allen will be behind the wheel of the safety car this evening. Hopefully, unlikely to need them, but it is Bathurst. I'm not going to be at all surprised to see a safety car come out at some point across the 90 minutes of racing that we have here for you tonight, ladies and gents.
Well, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, get your popcorn ready, because it's an endurance race and anything can happen in the climb up to the mountain. You'd have to say that, Jared, you wouldn't want to risk it for the biscuit too much, would you? And we all, I can't forget that old Skippy can come in there and can't jump you on the track there and cause a little bit of a caution too.
Not gonna lie, I am not at all disappointed that they haven't simulated that here on iRacing, because this is dangerous enough without the local flora and fauna getting in the way and gum tree branches dropping, all sorts. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Let's get ready to go racing here, shall we? We'll jump down to the grid as the drivers are getting set to go. What's the chance on a safety car? Nathan Allen says, I reckon pretty bloody high, mate, is the answer you're looking for there. As we get ready to go racing here, and we can see the cars lining up on the start line.
It's so difficult, isn't it, for a starting grid, and it's only a very short run down to Hell's Corner as well too. So they're on cold tires, get into early braking point, and then gas it up the mountain. And then you got to judge your braking point once you start getting up the speed. You're still not at full speed at that point as well too. Then you have to climb your way up there, and then once you start going down the hill for the first time, you don't know how these track temperatures have been. You haven't done a lap, of course, because it's a standing start. They pulled these cars literally out of the garage from my friend, and everything is just brand new. It's like getting something, opening up a present or taking a car to the garage for the first time, and then you're going, okay, how's it going to handle around a corner at 80 kilometers an hour? You just don't know.
No, absolutely not. Just a few seconds away now. We have all the cars gridded. We are ready to go racing, just waiting for the green flag at the back of the field. Ryan Palmer just wishing us luck for tonight, and I imagine for everyone else. Here we go. Getting ready for 90 minutes of action here at Mount Panorama. Brett Loxton and Ethan Johnson will be off the line first, and we are underway. So far, so good. No smoke at all off any of the tyres. These guys absolutely wanting to get this started in the best way they possibly can. A fairly small grid by comparison to what we're used to seeing so far, but already we've got Luke Speck. Luke Speck has had an issue into Hell Corner, and this is the danger on cold tyres through Hell Corner. Very, very easy to push it too hard as we head up towards Griffins for the first time. Brett Loxton leads them up the mountain, and we see already the drivers starting to just settle themselves in. Not a great start though for Luke Speck, unfortunately.
No, Ryan Palmer had a great start there, almost getting a couple of places. He's tucked up behind Thomas Hinz, so he was almost challenging him into turns 3 and 4, but he elected to back off there, which is wise because you should go single file up through the mountain, which is a lot of drivers are doing. And of course, in the back of their minds, realizing it's an endurance race. If you're you're not going to risk it for a biscuit, getting an accident so early because everybody else is behind you, and you ain't going to have enough time to crawl your way back. Well, you can, but I wouldn't recommend it, gentlemen. Brett Loxton in the lead.
Worth noting though, Ethan Johnson has inserted himself between the two Team Jinx cars, and he is hot on the tail of Brett Loxton as they make their way down through the dipper and towards Forest Elbow for the first time. Have a look at him streaming down the hill and down onto Conrod Straight. Thomas Hinz is going to have to put some work in here to stick with the front two because they're already starting to open up just a little bit of a gap. Here we go, Conrod Straight for the very first time as these guys fly up and over the ridge. Gotta love the sound. Down towards the chase for the first time, and you can see already a bit of separation starting to creep in from Ridley to Long. We'll start to see some of the timing show up shortly as they come on down through to Murray's for the very first time. Brett Loxton still leading them as we get underway on an hour and a half of racing. Luke Speck, the only one really to have too much of an issue there as we head on in for lap number 2. And Biggles, I don't know about you, but probably about what I expected from this start.
Yeah, you're about to see at the moment Thomas Wilson up on the inside, 4 positions gain. Jamie Dyke as well for the Fifth Sheet Motorsports entry, 4 positions gain. So looking at early overtaking opportunity. Jamie Dyke right on the back, as you can see. They're using the slipstream.
He's absolutely pushing Wilson along.
Wilson moves over late. Go on single file soon, and he will have to back off a little bit. Wisely done.
Yeah, a pretty good call there, I think, on Jamie Dyke's behalf. He's no stranger to tight driving in these cars and on some very, very tough tracks. He's just going to back it off, give Wilson a little bit of space, then he'll have another run at it. Wants to leave himself a little bit of breathing room on the way up the mountain. You can see just how far they push over to the left there. It's still very, very slippery, but these tyres will be warming up super quickly here at Bathurst. The track temps were sitting around 26 degrees before we got on the way. A bit of contact there.
He has to get past
here. And that's going to cost him positions. Kyle Ridley and Thomas Wilson get through. Jamie Dyke sneaks through as well.
Yeah, somebody gets a hard tank sliper in the fence, you got to seize the opportunity to get past, otherwise it's going to just bring the snake into play there with all the other drivers that are currently behind them from 13th, 14th and so on. And cleverly done, as there is a bit of action starting to brew a little bit further upfield there as well too. Ryan Palmer still on the back there of Thomas Hinz, and Will Buchanan on the back there of Aaron Gilbert. The battle for P4, P5, battle for P2, P3, as well as that huge gaggle of hornet's nest there, or the dingo's nest back under 12,
dingoes
13,
have
14,
nests?
15. They don't actually. I just tell that to the Americans because the Americans just believe me. They go, dingoes have a nest? I'm like, yeah, the dingoes have a nest.
Absolutely.
So just like we ride a kangaroo to go to work.
Of course we do. Brian Palmer hanging in there nicely at the moment, sticking to the back of Thomas Hinz. That's a good move. If he can stay with him and and just follow his strategy through this race, that's probably not a bad call at all.
Carl Ridley gets through and holds corner. I sort of cut you off there on Matt Bakar. And Thomas Wilson's in the mix as well too. This is back in your dingo's nest at 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th as well too. As we go, somebody's going to lift off here.
I don't think it'll be Wilson. Bakir stays wide. He's going to be late on the brakes. Wilson squeezes on through, picks up another place as well, so Bakir drops another one. Jamie Dyke won't want to hang around either. Keep an eye on him in the background. He'll be looking for an opportunity, but the opportunities come few and far between as they head up towards the cutting. Very, very unlikely that Jamie Dyke's going to have a chance to pass. He's just got to hold on and pray that Bakir's got the pace to stick with Wilson so this gap doesn't open up too far. Kyle Ridley leading them up through to Sulman. And then across we go. McPhillamy Park up the top here, of course, a popular spot for the crowds to watch from. And then, of course, we head down past Brock Skyline and into the S's. Again, Ridley has kept the pace fairly quick, and you can see Bakir just starting to drop away behind these two. Jamie Dyke will be very, very keen to get a move on and get past Matt Bakir as they get down towards Forest Elbow again.
He's got to be patient, wait for the exit out of the elbow and try to take him down the chase. Down Colruyt Straight, my apologies. That's where you want to get it done. If you try to do anything a little bit earlier than that, you may end up foreseeing a race to be heading down to the medical centre. He's going to be sitting there side by side at the moment, but I love it to see it, but I'm closing my eyes to see who's going to be bold and brave to hold that one in the corner.
Jamie Dyke
actually
keeps the foot buried, makes the pass, and he'll start to close in again on Wilson. He doesn't want to let them get away, and already catching very, very quickly. Kyle Ridley, in fact, probably holding up more than anything else at the moment. And Thomas Wilson will likely have a look at perhaps into Hell Corner, having a bit of a go at this. He's not quite close enough to make it an obvious one, but hasn't stopped him before. Gets on the brakes early. Happy to just follow Ridley in. Look at Jamie Dyke close the gap. Jamie Dyke not waiting around for anybody. He is right there behind Thomas Wilson as they head up Mountain Straight for lap number 4. And Thomas Wilson will have to keep a very close eye on that rear view.
Yeah, exactly, because Kyle Ridley's going to be, he's going to go to the outside. Thomas will go on the outside. We're just going to force Thomas Wilson. He can block him, of course. Break a daylight dollar shorter on that one, and he will, because there's nowhere to go around that one. And Kyle Ridley's really clever to that. Thomas Wilson's going to be a little bit frustrated because now he has to
take a look at the inside
for 2 or 3 sectors. And big up Jamie Dyke. What's he going to do with the background here? He can't go anywhere. He's got to sit there and watch this battle going, I'm losing time, gentlemen. I'm losing time.
I'll be honest, if I'm Jamie Dyke and I see Thomas Wilson thinking about and actually starting to attempt moves like that into the cutting, I'm going to give them just a little bit more room, because I reckon there's a real risk here of Wilson taking Ridley out. That was a very, very bold and probably ill thought out move to even think about sticking the nose up into the cutting. He was counting on Kyle Ridley really messing that corner up, and in the end the mistake didn't come. Wilson had to back out of it, but that could have ended in absolute disaster for one or both of those drivers. Now they come through Forest Elbow again. Kyle Ridley gets a good exit. Wilson gets a better one. Jamie Dyke sticks with them and starting to close the gap ever so slightly.
Thomas could do the last of the late breakers into the chase, but you've got to get it done essentially about 1/10 out of the exit out of the elbow, and I don't think he's going to have enough here at the moment. If he does stick it up there, that's going to be very, very dangerous. You can basically hear at the moment Nathan Allen sitting there. He's in the car. He's all strapped up, ready to go. He's got the race suit, the helmet on. He's like, I'll bring this Porsche safety car anytime you want. Let's hope he doesn't come out too soon. Sorry, Nathan, but we want to see a little bit more racing first before a caution car.
Wilson gets the run out of Murray's.
Wow!
Ridley defended, but had to cut too much speed, and that's going to be enough for Thomas Wilson to go through. Jamie Dyke's going to have a look as well.
Yep, Jamie's going to seize that opportunity, my friend. He says, he let the door open,
bit of contact,
friend.
bit of contact. Ridley's off this. Oh, so close. Ridley almost pushed off the circuit. He's unhappy. Unfortunately, he's come out worse from that. Bit of a flash of the lights at Jamie Dyke. Dyke very, very lucky not to turn himself across the front of Ridley's car there. There was absolutely more contact than either of those drivers would have liked. And that gives just a little bit of breathing room.
Wilson and Dyke now up 7 positions. Biggest gains in this race. But keep an eye on Henry King, because he's got his eyes on the 555 machine now. Jackson Starrett, as he has to chase him all the way up the mountain right now. Now let's see if he can seize an opportunity once again. I always say, comes down to the elbow, get a good exit of the elbow, and then you're going to be burning those cod rods down the cod rods straight. But can you chase him? The problem is chasing somebody down the dipper is, you're floating in air, it's a roller coaster ride. You're also chasing them as a racing line, and if they make a mistake, you make a mistake.
Oh, and speaking of mistakes, says Henry King into the wall, pushes it just a little bit hard. Hopefully he's avoided damage. You can see a little bit of aero damage on that front
left. He
left.
won't get an overtake now. He'll be too far out of the elbow. That's about half a second. Not going to be enough. Maybe a late dive that'll equal an accident. But Will Buchanan maybe thinking about Aaron Gilbert a bit further up there as well too.
So come down towards the chase. Buchanan closes in. Not enough to have a crack at it here, but again, he'll be plotting out the move over the next couple of corners. I think the only thing that kept, as we see, Jamie Dyke now getting passed
Ridley.
by Ridley. What's happened there? Jamie Dykes had a bit of a moment, I think.
I think he might have a tank slapper. The mountain may have come out there and said hello.
Yeah, that's a bit unusual. We'll go back and see if we can see what happened just before that. The iRap Designs replay, and I think Ridley just getting the run and charging past Jamie Dyke. I don't know. What's cost
Jamie
Dyke
Dyke
so much pace there.
He wasn't fighting it. He was not fighting it. He might have got a bad exit earlier on. Didn't seem like it too much, but he's given up position. Remember, it's an endurance race too, so they're not necessarily looking at getting... Well, you know that for a fact in endurance races, you can give up a couple of positions, you'll get them back later.
Yeah, plenty of time left here, side by side through Griffins. Jamie Dyke controls it nicely. Ridley slides just a little too much. He's going to slot back in behind. And now Dyke moves over and starts to set up his lines up into the cutting. There must have been an error earlier on for Dyke to have been passed at such a pace by Ridley. But keep your eye on Gresh in the background because he's starting to close the gap here as well. Further back in the field, we've still got a couple of little battle groups going on. This one, Luke Speck, Ron Long, Vince Salvatore and Chris Lashbrook all in amongst it. Salvatore still sporting that super cheap auto livery, which really pretty fitting, honestly, being here at Bathurst.
Let's get Big Willie out there. It's called out there from Jake.
G'day, Jake.
Another thing to point out too, that Ethan Johnson, up that fantastic qualifying that he did, almost got on the front row, but he is on the front row, of course, but in the front position. Brett Loxton's up the road now by 2.5 seconds. Ethan Johnson struggling at the moment a little bit. I've seen a little bit of floating of the fences. Thomas Hinds is hunting him down big time at the moment, and Thomas may very much have an opportunity take Ethan Johnson into P2 soon.
We cut across that because here comes Thomas Hinds. He's been sitting about half a second off the back. Johnson, though, not as quick out of the chase, and all of a sudden the gap closes right up. Can Ethan Johnson extend this again, or is Thomas Hinds in prime position to make his move? He's not going to get done through Hell Corner. Now at Mountain Straight, it'll all be a question of who gets the run out of Hell Corner, and it looks like Thomas Hinds is going to close that up, but he's not close enough that he's likely to have a crack at this. Down to 3.5 tenths now as they come over the crest. 3 tenths on the way down. Hinds has a think about going up the inside. Not close enough, my friend. 3 tenths now through Griffins, and Johnson will hold on to it for another portion of this lap at least. Not really much in the way of opportunities here, barring an error from Johnson.
Tank slapper. Yeah, he's putting the pressure on. That's what you need to do. So even if you're going to climb up somebody through the mountain, and you're going to be following them, of course, you want to put the pressure onto them. You want to force them into a mistake. And you want them to mirror drive. And that's the key that Thomas is trying to do with Ethan Johnson at the moment. He wants Ethan Johnson to keep looking in his mirrors, going, where is Thomas? Where's Thomas? Thomas is here, of course. It's no fat control. The Thomas tank engine is right here.
Hinds taps the wall. That cost him another tenth or two as they start to head down the mountain. Ethan Johnson hugging that right-hand wall to try and get as much of an open corner through the dipper as he possibly can. Holding 4 tenths as they come down towards Forests. What can he do on the way out? Out to 5-6 tenths now. Johnson getting a great run. That might be just enough for him to start to pull away from Hinds here. Hinds is not going to be close enough to tack on the back and get any extra speed. These cars famous for having very, very little aero. And yet Hinds has had a great run down the hill there, closing it in 3 tenths now. Ethan Johnson on the brakes. Hinds leaves it just a dash later. But Johnson, again, very, very solid drive. This is what we've seen from him from his appearances so far. He's absolutely got pace. He's just got to convert this now to race points. And
what you got to do into the final corner is basically almost lock up, just to make it so feel that you're going to almost slam into the car ahead of you, so that throws them off completely into obviously the more important Hell's Corner coming up, and that's what you want to do. Force the driver. Oh, the kitty litter kicked up all over the track there as well too. That's not going to be good, but they thankfully got a little bit of a straightaway to scrub that off. But if I was Thomas right now, I'd throw a little bit of a dummy. Just pretend that you're going to go up on the inside, which he's going to do, but then back off and then follow him through, because there's no way you're going to get up the inside at the moment. Ethan Johnson's going to shut the door on that one. Fantastic racing.
Let's go back to the start of the race and see what happened to Luke Speck through Hell Corner on lap 1. And not the start he was hoping for. You can see James Salhani coming up the outside. He's going to be stuck. Turns across and just a little nudge there, perhaps, from Jackson Starrett. You can't go 3 wide through Hell Corner. It's just not going to work, especially on cold tyres.
It wasn't too bad. They did have the space, but you know it happens. You have to say
it does. It does.
23 cars going into a couple of corners early in the race. Cold tyres. Yeah, not bad across the whole field. You'd have to say. There's always going to be an unlucky punter.
Oh, look, absolutely. It's a tough corner racing it solo and not having to worry about the cars around you. When you're in a starting position, then yeah, it's
that was the top chaos. Split of the iRacing Bathurst event. That'll be coming later in the year. Chaos. That would be a lot worse than what you've just seen with the best Australian drivers on the planet.
Have a look at Ethan Johnson extend that gap now out to over 8 tenths. He's had a cracking run down through Forest and onto Conrod Straight. And Thomason's going to have some work to do to catch up. Further back though, and Josh Harris is in some clean air at the moment.
He's starting to put pressure once again back on Aaron Gilbert's holding off that nice P5 position. He's only dropped one place. He had to hand that one over to Ryan Pub early in this race, but once again, we have to realise, everybody out there, that this is an endurance race. It's an hour 30. It ain't going to be won in the first 17 minutes of this race. It's going to be won in the remaining 1 hour and 12 minutes.
Yeah, still plenty of distance to go. This battle for 8th, Jackson Starrett, Henry King, James Salhani and Thomas Wilson, all within a second and a half from front to back of this battle group. And then just up the road, Josh Harris, who's moved up 4 spots so far, but has to realise that this little group of cars not too far behind. You can see Harris just cresting the hill on Mountain Straight there. Jake Slade, Jamie Dyke is surely saving tyre and fuel and playing long game. Yeah, he absolutely will be. Jamie Dyke is a seasoned competitor when it comes to endurance racing. He will not be going for hot laps each and every time. He's going to be looking for opportunities to make his tyres last as long as possible, to crank out some consistent laps. They don't have to be the fastest, they just have to be consistent. And if he can get an extra, lap or 2 before needing to refuel, that's going to make all the difference for him. He's just set his fastest time at 2:08.33 on the previous lap. So certainly a little way off. The best we've seen tonight, Brett Loxton out in front, unsurprisingly. Absolutely killing it at 2:06.83. But he's lapping around 2:08s now, 2:07.98 on the last lap. So Jamie Dyke is travelling just as quickly right now as Brett Loxton out in front. So he may not have the 1 lap pace, but if he can maintain 2:08s all night, there's a very good chance that he's going to be in with a shot.
Well, he's about 3 seconds at the moment there from Thomas Wilson, who's in the traffic too. So a lot of the other drivers up the road there, Henry King, James Sahani, Jackson Starrett, they're all in traffic. So, traffic obviously means the car up the road, they're also racing. That's going to be crucial later on that one. But you mentioned that, so it's endurance racing. By the way, when are we expecting the first round of pit stops?
Oh, look, that's a good question. That's going to depend entirely on. It's going to depend entirely on safety cars. I think we go on board with Josh Harris. Let's take a lap. Josh has very kindly given us his pedal cam here, and you'll see just how hard this track is as he dances on the pedals on the way up through Hell Corner. Just a couple dabs on the accelerator as he downshifts there, and here we go up towards 200k an hour. And onwards through 220, 230, up and over the crest, you'll get some more speed here, 250, approaching 260 before braking just inside the 100-metre mark. Takes the turn up towards the cutting. Full noise here. You can see not lifting too much. Now the dance begins. Just a little bit of balancing the car with the brake and accelerator. Full throttle as he comes on out of that tight banked corner. Now, again, you see the dance on the pedals happening. This is where you've got to be absolutely ready to respond very, very quickly as the weight of the car shifts to the side through these turns. It's a little easier across the top than it might otherwise be, just with it being all left-hand bends essentially. If you're going right-left, these cars get unstable very, very quickly, and that's exactly what you see through the S's here and down into the cutting. But you can see his foot absolutely buried.
Oh, it's planted. Yeah. I would have thought going down the hill, now where you lift off a lot, exactly, you can see just gingery. I mean, he's not using those socks that you said for the
No, he's got the race boots
parks.
on. He's got the race boots on tonight.
Yeah. But now you pedal the metal absolutely down Conrod Straight, as you can see. That thing cannot be planted anymore to the floor.
I've just noticed Pete Manette is in the safety car at the moment. I don't think we've had a safety car called, but he is sitting in the safety car, and the question is why. Haven't seen any crashes
no, sir.
pop up at this point, so he may just be sitting in the pits and waiting. That's a lap of Bathurst with Josh Harris.
Speaking of going in the pits, Thomas Wilson's going in. And that's a scheduled stop. There was nothing that I saw from Thomas Wilson that said it was off track there, no damage on that car. That is an early pit stop here.
Yeah, and look, that's where the strategy play starts to come into it, doesn't it? It's absolutely a question for Thomas Wilson as to what's going to be best for him long term. And I've got to wonder how much of that was just wanting to get himself a little clean air further on into this race.
That's true. Half the track, half the cars at the moment on half of Bathurst. The other part of the track is clean, empty.
Bradbury sends it up the inside of Adrian Gresh. They're side by side through Griffins. He gets it done. Gresh into the wall in the background. Thankfully, only a light bit of contact. That's going to be enough to lose him a couple of places, but he'll be grateful that he hasn't done too much in the way of damage. We jump forward now to this battle for 8th, continuing Starrett, King and Salhani. 8 tenths between the three of them.
Is that what is that what Pete was waiting for? He's suspecting something's going to be happening. He's on the radio waiting at the moment to see whether the pace car is going to be coming out in the moment. But no, we have to see whether or not James Sahani, Henry King, Jackson Starrett are going to be roller coasting their way back down the mountain here at Bathurst.
Josh Harris is losing just a little bit of time to these three. Oh, big moment for Jackson Starrett. Just gets it under control, but that's going to cost him a lot of pace. Watch Henry King close this down now. I'm actually really surprised that Starrett's managed to maintain as much of a gap there as he has, because he had a huge wiggle on the way out of that corner.
That he has. Looks like something might be happening a little bit further back in 17th and 16th. Looks like just gets past Matt Becker. But also, Will Buchanan still on the back there of the Team Jinx Shifters 203 Ford Mustang as he's fighting Aaron Gilbert for that P5 position.
Plenty of little battles going on. We don't have a whole lot of pack racing at the moment. The closest that you'll see is Starrett, King and Salhani, 8th, 9th and 10th at this stage. As Luke Speck rounds Murray's and starts to try and reel in Adrian Gresh. The Speck obviously a reasonable amount quicker. Gresh after that moment in the wall sitting at 2:16.98 on that lap, so it's allowed Speck to get in touch and start to think about whether he can make something of this. Luke Speck's best so far at 2:09.24, so it's Bathurst is one of those tracks where you really you don't see the times here being anywhere near as close as they have been at some of the other tracks. We look at the best times we've got. Brett Loxton, 2:06.83, his best so far. Right down to the 2:10s and 2:11s in the last 5 or 6 cars on the grid here. It's a massive difference here at Bathurst, because you can pick up so much time.
Yeah, you'll never get
these
that close.
little bits.
Yeah, you'll never get that close at Bathurst, even in the top 2 splits in iRacing as well too for the special event, because Bathurst just gonna endurance race is gonna play it more safely from drivers, because they're thinking of the thinking of the hour remaining in this race, of course. So
it's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
As we take a look at Jamie Dyke, his last
If it was a
lap.
sprint, it'd be a whole different
Oh,
ballgame, my friend.
different story for sure. But an hour and a half of racing. It's not a super long race, but it's certainly long enough to need to have some attention. As we see in the background, James Salhani comes into the pits.
Second driver coming down pit road this evening. Well, Matty did as well. Martin, sorry, my apologies.
Yeah, Martin Lipsky came in after a bit of an off-track earlier. We'll go back and we'll take a quick look at this one. The iRap Designs replay. Do like the headlight treatment on this. Oh, big lock up in the Hell corner.
Hells. Yeah. There used to be a stump there, which is the reason why it's called the Hell's Corner.
Probably a good thing they removed that, honestly.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a motorcycle, a motorbike, a rider hit it, and he said, I'm going straight to hell. And that was it. Yep. It was just coined that from there.
So Lipsky doesn't look to have actually copped any damage in that particular incident, but I think maybe that was just the prompting that he needed to go and get himself some fresh tyres and some more fuel and just settle back in, perhaps. The thing is, he should be getting, I mean, realistically, although you'll only get probably 7-8 laps out of the tyres at absolute peak pace, that doesn't mean you need to replace them after 10. These drivers should be able to get a good 20-30 laps out of it. Now, obviously, they do have the fuel restriction in effect, only an 80-litre tank, which from memory is, about a 50% tank. So it does mean they'll be refueling a bit more often, but you save your tyre changes for when you really need the fuel rather than worrying too much about the grip, particularly when you don't need sprint pace for this race. And
what's going to hurt Thomas Wilson, of course, is come back out in traffic as well too. He's still got drivers up the road there, and the pit stops there, Vince Savani and Chris Lashbrook. He's going to be frustrated about that because you want to come out in clean air. He hasn't got clean air, so he's got to have to look at how somehow find a way past them. Of course, Henry Kingston will find a way past Jackson Starrett soon. Battle for 8th and 9th. And we've got a fantastic battle for 4th and 5th for Ryan Palmer and Gilbert too. So, more importantly, Thomas Wilson's going to be super frustrated. And, of course, Vince does not have to yield, but he should get him down Codrod Straight. And that should be Thomas Wilson, the SES Motorsport, making his way up into 18th. But, of course, pit stops still for the remaining of the field here from 18th upwards.
Now, it's a pretty good guide that we're starting to see already from the pit stops. Thomas Wilson spending just shy of a minute end-to-end in that pit lane. So you're talking about, half a lap or so for every pit stop, which means as everybody starts to pit, Wilson's actually going to come out somewhere pretty close to Ethan Johnson and Thomas Hinds up front. Just as a bit of an estimate, they're about a half lap ahead of him at the moment. The undercut in these cars are so strong.
Keep an eye on Jamie Dyke as well too, on Jackson Starrett. That's going to be a fantastic climb up through the hill here. Jamie Dyke's keeping, Jackson Starrett all hook, line and sinker there for the Fishy Motorsports entry. He does not want to let him get away as he's going to climb his way back down the hill there. And if you're getting all exits out of Forest Elbow, well, that's a bit of kitty litter kicked up on Jackson Starrett's 555 machine as well too, as maybe a little off-track excursion for one of the other drivers earlier. Maybe Kyle Ridley, because he's gone off track somewhere. But Kyle Ridley is still racing there in the number 13 places from the number 207 machine. Good exit out of here. This could be a nice run down Codrod Straight here into the chase.
Yeah, Jamie Dyke, look, he's putting a little bit of pressure on Starrett, but not doing anything silly. Which is what we would expect from Jamie Dyke. Just very, very controlled driver. He's just going to wait it out. He knows he's still got an hour to make some progress here. Doesn't want to be the cause of a safety car. Wants to take advantage of a safety car if one does come out on track. As we jump forward to Will Buchanan, because he's closed right in on Aaron Gilbert. You can see Martin Lipsky in the background just getting out of the way of these two. Buchanan's going to have a real shot at Gilbert up Mountain Straight here. Not much in it.
He's been following for some time now. Jackson Starrett did dip in the pit lane, so that battle between those two drivers is over for now. We'll see how that pans out after the pit stops, but Let's see, Will Buchanan been patiently following at the moment Aaron Gilbert for some time here for the Team Jig Shifters. He's going to be getting, I don't think Will Buchanan so deep in this championship as well to have a lot on the line here for a man that's essentially running up on top of the points standings. Not the top, but needs all the points he possibly can get. Will Buchanan actually not in the championship points. My apologies on that one. I'm actually curious why not on that one. Since that does not qualify.
Run that by me again. Biggles, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at a couple of stats here for next round.
Yeah, no, Will Buchanan, I'm just wondering why Will Buchanan's on the championship standings here at the moment. I was looking through that one, but...
Oh, that's a bit odd.
We got Jeremy, Reese, Kyle, Daniel, Joshua. Don't see Will Buchanan in there. Could be a technical fault on my end.
No, he's sitting third place at the
I'm
moment.
looking at the GT3s.
Yeah. That'd do it. That'd do it, mate. That's,
sorry, everybody. I was making sure you were paying attention out there.
Just keeping us on our toes. Always good for keeping us awake. If the racing does just tend to slot into exactly what you're seeing here, just a bit of nose to tail racing, but everyone just keeping it fairly tidy at the moment. Josh Harris about to come under attack. Henry King and Jamie Dyke have caught up here. Jamie Dyke not yet able to get past Henry King. What he's going to want to do here, he's waiting for King to make the move on Harris, and then the decision last minute. Jamie Dyke almost going into the pits there behind Harris, but decides to stay out. Now that Harris is in, Dyke deciding that it's going to be a bit quicker and a better result for him to stay out. Doesn't want to get caught up behind Harris in the pit lane. You can see all of those pit stops starting to flow through now. Ryan Palmer, Will Buchanan, Josh Harris all in there. Jamie Dyke and Henry King continue their battle. Jamie Dyke right on Henry King's rear bar as they head up Mountain Straight. King moves all the way over. Jamie Dyke with the pace goes up the inside. He's going to have time to get across in front of King. I often wonder, and we'll see at the other end of this mountain section, whether this is a calculated move. Because it's the sort of thing that I've been known to do it, although not in as fast company as Jamie Dyke, for instance. I've been known to allow a driver through when I know that there's a long straight that you're going to be able to take advantage of before the end of the lap. I don't think that's the intention from Henry King here, because he is nowhere near close enough to Jamie Dyke now that he's going to be able to hold on to the back of him down Conrod. Jamie Dyke's going to start to walk away. He's absolutely got more pace across the top of the mountain as we get down to Skyline once again, and then into the S's on lap 16. 33 and a half minutes into this hour and a half race, and Jamie Dyke up into 5th. He's up 14 positions right now, but pit stops will be the question. The current leader after pit stops is Ryan Palmer, and I'll be honest, it's going to be very, very close as Brett Loxton comes in. This is what I want to see. Brett Loxton into the pits now.
Yep.
Depending on how long he spends, and in comes Ethan Johnson as well.
Yep.
Keep your eye here on Ryan Palmer or Will Buchanan, because they should be coming out very, very close, I suspect, to Loxton and Johnson as they exit the pits. So this will be interesting.
That Charity is a chicken lifter when it comes to other drivers in the straight, right? Is that what you're saying? You just lift off and let people through?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. When it's going to benefit me, mate.
All right, we'll see how it pans out. I'll keep an eye on that. 4 drivers in the pit road. Brett, Ethan, Aaron Gilbert, and Jamie Dyke all down there in pit road. And it looks like some of those drivers will be coming out very soon. Let's keep an eye on Ryan Palmer, the first driver to take a pit stop earlier on lap 15. He is now making his way into the chase.
It's a very long stop for Loxton. 31 seconds, 32, 33, and he's on his way out. So won't be quite enough for Palmer to be able to catch Loxton as Loxton leaves the pits now. But have a look at the number of places that Palmer's going to jump here. He's going to be right on the tail of Ethan Johnson, and Johnson will be on cold tyres. So this is Palmer's opportunity, and probably his only opportunity, to try and tack on the back here.
Background too, putting pressure on him too. So Ryan Palmer's going to look forward and backwards here.
Unfortunately, Ethan Johnson coming out about 5 seconds ahead. It's not enough for Palmer to be able to catch him. He's just going to have to keep going with this battle with Buchanan for now.
That's what it's all about. But he's still yet to make that. Well, he had made that pit stop, but he's gained places currently at the moment because we still have Thomas Hinds, Henry King, Robbie, and Carl Ridley to head down pit road. You would imagine that you'd think that Ryan Palmer should be able to squeeze out ahead of him, but we don't know just yet. Those rest of those drivers, those pit stops that they're doing, those laps that they're doing 208s essentially for Thomas and Henry King. Last lap, for Ryan Palmer, was a little heavier, but Thomas Hinds is in, so let's see if we can zoom on by.
Keep your eye on as well on Thomas Wilson, currently sitting in 9th. He was the driver we saw pit very early on lap 10, looking for the undercut. So right now, he is sitting, call it about 14-15 seconds back from Brett Loxton, but that does mean that he's up 9 places from where he started, and that's before any change that happens with the likes of Bradbury or Ridley pitting in. I don't think he's going to be close enough for it to make much difference with Hinds or Henry King.
Robbie's in. Will Kyle follow?
You'd have to think so.
Kyle follows. Last of the pit stoppers for anybody that has not taken a pit stop yet. So that'll put Brett Loxton back in the lead of this one. He's way out front. Should not be a problem whatsoever for the 209 Mustang. It's going to be the question as to around that Will Buchanan, Thomas Wilson, Aaron Gilbert. Can these drivers down the pit lane zoom in, zoom on, or back out?
Hinds almost collects the pace car on the way out of the pits. But he's up and rolling, and he is still a long way behind Ethan Johnson.
Thomas got ahead of Ryan Palmer. So Thomas lets himself back at P3. Ryan Palmer's not too far down the road from him as well too. Will Buchanan still behind Ryan Palmer. But Henry King has lost out big time there. Carl Ridley and Robbie Bradby, they're dropped all the way down 12th, 13th and 14th currently at the moment there, Jared.
Yeah, not surprised to see that. They did not have enough of a lead that they were likely to stay in position there. Thomas Wilson, you can see just getting into the cutting as Palmer and Buchanan are exiting, now finds himself up 12 spots. Jake Slade confirming had a word with Will, and the team orders are to drop the hammer.
It's hammer time.
It is hammer time, apparently. Will Buchanan has been told to go.
Hammer.
This will be interesting because Ryan Palmer, a very accomplished defensive driver from what we've seen this season, he's going to make it all sorts of difficult for Buchanan to get past here. Buchanan's going to have to really rely on his exit onto Conrod Strait being significantly better than Palmer's if he wants to close this gap and make the pass. Let's see what comes of this. We'll take a look behind though, because Aaron Gilbert all over the back of Wilson. Almost as though Wilson's had a bit of a moment there, perhaps.
Wilson's had a fantastic moment, my friend. 12 positions gained at the moment for the SCS Motorsports 308, and he is looking solid in this race. Biggest gainer inside the top 10 by far. After those pit stops have all sorted themselves out, but he did go in lap 10, so he will be a little bit struggling for the next round of pit stops a little later on. 50 minutes remaining in this race.
Aaron Gilbert, you can see just filling that left-hand mirror up. Hit Wilson on his toes. Nowhere near close enough to have a crack at it at this point, but just wants him nervous at the moment. Just wants him thinking that Wilson's Team Jig shifted entry is going to come through, and he almost does there. Aaron Gilbert very, very late on the brakes and closing right up to the rear bar for Wilson. The view forward for Thomas Wilson, though, nothing but clear air at the moment, so he needs to be just concentrating on driving consistently, getting his laps in, and maintaining his pace to stay ahead of Aaron Gilbert right now.
You think that Thomas Wilson looking in his rear mirror, looking at Wilson's on the front there of Aaron Gilbert shouldn't be a problem for Thomas Wilson, shouldn't it? He's like, hey, thank you very much.
It's just support for him, isn't it? Just a bit of extra cheering on.
Chuck a Wilson at me. I can handle it. I'm Thomas Wilson, the one and only SCS Motorsport Thomas Wilson.
Take a look a little bit further back in the pack, because Luke Speck has caught up now to Jared Burns from Blackhawk Motorsport. Specky's not having a fantastic race tonight, but he's doing his best to claw his way back after that lap 1, turn 1 incident that put him all the way back to 22nd. So despite the fact that he's showing us 8 spots down from where he started, he's actually climbed up, 6 positions from the start. And here comes another one up the inside of Bootsman's.
He's got it. Shimmer, hold it. Bingo. Job done. Daniel Ricciardo style. Back in the day, linked a stamp and sent it. It is sent in the mail. Expect it in a few days.
A few days? Australia Post lifting their game.
Oh.
Will Buchanan still unable to close
Bathurst,
the gap.
Mate. You know,
yeah, I suppose.
It's a few hours from Sydney and then they go up to Brizzy.
Got to put it on the horse and cart to get it into old Sydney town.
Telegram.
Buchanan now starting to close that gap to Palmer. Palmer just not as quick through the chase as Buchanan, and Buchanan knows it. The question is, does he have a bit of a crack at it here? Palmer's not worried yet. He's not going defensive. He's feeling confident enough that he can hold Buchanan at bay for the moment without resorting to taking a defensive line. And
it's crucial for Buchanan here too, isn't it? Knowing Brett's in the lead of this race, in the lead of the championship.
Look, I'll be honest.
Thomas is where's Thomas? Thomas is up the road as well too. So he needs to get past both Thomas and both Brett in this race. He's going to be thinking strategy. He's going to be thinking, I need to maximize my points ahead of my championship contenders. That's it. He doesn't need to blow a tyre in Adelaide in 1985 and lose the championship to Alain Prost like Nigel Mansell did, leading the championship at that point.
Let's see it into your memory, isn't it?
Will's got to be able to find a way past them.
The challenge is, right, enduro rounds are worth a lot. 300 points to the winner here tonight. So, you know, there's a lot of points on offer, but that's not going to be enough for Buchanan. He could pass Loxton and Hinds and take them tonight. But if they're anywhere in that top 5 or 10, it's not going to be enough to really get him in the hunt for one of the 2 top steps here. I think if everything continues the way it is for the second half of this race, we're just about halfway through now. In the absence of Loxton or Hinds really doing themselves a mischief and taking themselves out of the race, Will Buchanan he's solidifying his 3rd place here, but I can't see him getting a series win.
He's got to go. He's got to go for gold here. He's got to go. He's got to get the number 1 spot, and then just hope that both Thomas and Brett have a problem in either this race, of course, or the next one, and because there's no other way really, because the championship chances are slimmering here. He's got to just win this race. Essentially, that should be the mindset of Brett. I'm pretty sure it will be the mindset of Brett, and that's what's going to be for Will Buchanan, and that's the mindset, of course. That's the mindset, of course, for Brett too, to win this race, so he can have a little bit more of a relaxed attitude going into the next round. But that's the situation, my friend. That's what you got to do. Go for gold.
Absolutely spot on. We'll take a ride with Brett Loxton out in front by almost 6.5 seconds now over Ethan Johnson. Let's watch the master himself at work. No pressure here at all, of course, Brett. He gets through Griffins very, very cleanly.
Watch out for the Skippy! Oh! No pressure.
No pressure. Up through the cutting. Easy as you like. Just a slight oversteer correction on the exit. Nothing much to it. Looking after these tyres beautifully.
Know how to... I like that. Yeah, it is actually. You can judge that.
It's one of the things that you're constantly doing with these cars. That, you know, when you're getting the power down on the exit, you have to be ready to just give it a little bit of corrective steering, just to enable it to settle in and actually hook those rear tyres up. Doesn't mean to say that I'm any good at it, but it's something that really stands out. Is that you either have to,
granted, yeah,
you either have to be light on the throttle or be ready to correct very, very quickly as it tries to step out on you. A lot of lock in there through Forest Elbow as we get down Conrod Straight. 200 k an hour before we even get onto the straight. That gives you an idea of just how fast they're going. And as you mentioned earlier, Biggles, you know, the chase didn't exist until the mid-80s. There used to be a straight shot from here right underneath that Armour All bridge you can see ahead, and you had cars hitting 300 plus k an hour.
My Nissan Skyline that I used to have, actually, the Godzilla, the R32, held that record for a very long time.
It absolutely did.
It might still, actually, the old track.
Wouldn't surprise me, given that they Given that they put that
Get the
chase
twin
in there
turbos up
in the
there, mate.
80s.
They can crank it up there. The V8s take too long to get up to full speed, you see. Yeah, twin turbos used to blow them away, and then you go, oh, we're going to ban 6s. We'll make it just V8s only. Of course, then you still couldn't compete at that point. They even had Volvos back in the day in the 80s, mate. So
It was a true touring car series then.
It was. Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, the V8 supercars have their place, but a real touring car series, it needs more than 2 manufacturers. It really does.
Well, you know, back in the day, we actually had manufacturing back in Australia too, you know, between Ford and Holden. So they wanted to bring the industry, you know, and support the Australian cars. Now, of course,
Josh Harris looks up the inside
it's
as we get to
American.
Hell
Yeah, go ahead.
Is he going to send it or is he going to pull out? Just gets it alongside, just enough overlap, not enough though to get the job done. Henry King closes in behind Harris as well. The run up Mountain Straight is going to be an interesting one. Jackson Starrett has 2 cars in absolute hot pursuit. Will Harris have another crack at it here? Looks to the inside. I don't know if he's close enough.
Oh, he's going to send it.
Just tucks
Gotta
in for the
commit.
moment. Right on Starrett's tail though, nothing in it. In fact, Henry King's looking to make a bit of a move. The door gets closed. Harris moving across behind Jackson Starrett. Into the cutting they go. And Josh Harris glued to the rear bar of Jackson Starrett. In fact, let's take a look at the few
I was going to
back.
say, have you got a Harris cam? I want to see the concentration.
We absolutely do have a pedal cam at least, but what I'm looking for here is the view back from Jackson Starrett's car, because this is what he's dealing with behind him. You know, at this point you want to just flip the mirror away so you don't have to worry about what's going on behind you. At the same time though, you kind of want to know if one of them is going to lock up the brakes and come clattering into the rear bar and put you sideways. So yeah, it's a tough call. Down through the dipper, have a look at the rate of descent down from the peak of Mount Panorama. It's such a steep descent, and I don't think you really get a feel for that until you go with some of these onboard shots. Away he goes. Starrett
That's why they
actually.
call it a roller coaster, my friend.
Well,
It's
yeah,
like
exactly
you're
right.
going to the well, if you're up in Brisbane at the moment, you're probably going to the Echo.
Oh, hard pass. I'll do without all of the crowds. Jamie Dyke gets the job done on James Selhani, but Selhani continues to contest their side-by-side. A little bit of a rubbing of panels there. Selhani's really squeezing Jamie Dyke as they get down to Murray's. Dyke's not silly. He doesn't want to get tangled up in this, so he's just going to back it out, drop in behind, watch for him to have a go at this up the mountain straight, though. Takes a look to the inside. He wants Selhani feeling the pressure still. He's put the braking move on through Hell Corner. He's side-by-side here. The two Mustangs going at it. Jamie Dyke backs it out again, slots in behind. He's going to set up for another go when we get up to Griffin's Bend. In the background, you can see Starrett, Harris, and King still locked in it, but we'll stick with this because Jamie Dyke is looking again for the move here.
Oh, you're trying to block him.
Bit of a
but
wiggle.
say,
That's just enough. Selhani gets unsettled, and that's just enough for Jamie Dyke to
It's a
make the
blind corner
move.
coming in, and sunset in the afternoon here in Bathurst as well, so it's difficult to judge a breaking point.
Oh, Selhani
But
had
Jamie
a big
Dyke
think about
does.
it. Oh, Selhani was going to send it again there. Jamie Dyke was probably very, very cautious at that point because Selhani was ready to send it, and it's cost him a lot of time. Jamie Dyke now opens that gap up to almost 7/10, and he'll be off into the distance.
Off into the sunset here of Australia, almost off into the fence area, into the little tank sliper. But Jamie Dyke for the number 80 Mustang, up 11.
Yeah, definitely on the move. As we take a look at the current weather, track temp down to 21 degrees now, 19 in air, so nice cool temperatures as you'd expect at this time of year. Not a lot of breeze, 8 or 9 kilometres an hour. Oh, big moment, that's contact. Josh Harris goes into the back of Jackson Starrett. Starrett keeps it out of the wall, just barely. Harris is going to sit in behind him to redress this.
Yep. Could be a my bad situation. Might have
absolutely. Harris just didn't
looked
get
to
the
the right
brakes
there
in.
and gone, Ned Kelly, rest in peace.
I've always found the hero worship of Ned Kelly a really interesting one in Australian folklore. We don't have time to dive into that tonight, but it's
No, we don't.
it's not made a lot of sense to me over the years, you know. Anyway,
Oh, Ned.
good old Ned.
Get on, Ned.
Jackson Starrett and Josh Harris will stay locked in this one. Henry King comes off better after that contact. Oh, Starrett, a big moment on the exit. That's going to be all the invitation that Harris needs to have a think about passing. He's going to sit in for a little while longer.
He's going to say, I'm going to show my nose, my friends. Give me a plastic surgeon, because it's not going to get chopped off.
Jackson Starrett had the better line there, so he's going to have more pace. Just a little bit of rubbing of panels. This is going to be very, very close. Starrett's trying to give himself a little more room, just a little nudge. Harris holds his position, now moves out. Starrett moves across with him, goes up the inside, regains position. Can Harris get a turn back in? He goes, tries the over-under, can't quite get the traction under him, and has to drop back in. He's trying so hard to get moving past Starrett here. Cannot find a way through.
Wait. It's a very difficult thing to tell a racing driver, but you're going to have to do it right now, because there's no space to overtake here now, my friends.
No, I go.
You're off into the bushland of the outback of Australia, of course, well, in the mountain regions of eastern, western New South Wales. You just have to just bite your time. He's dropped back quite a bit, actually, of Josh Harris at the moment. Let's see if he can find his way back down the roller coaster.
I often wonder if that's a bit of a mental reset going on there. You know, you get into a tight tussle. Oh, big moment there for Starrett. Oh, yeah. Just keeps it out of the wall.
He knows that for a fact. He's going to have to lift off big time here and attack him out of the elbow, and it could be a run here for sure. You've got to go for it, Josh Harris. You can't be sitting back there. Jackson Starrett has shown he's played his cards down the table, and he does have the full house. Does he have the flush? Well, we'll find out right now. Josh Harris is not bluffing.
Harris up the inside. They're going to be side by side as they come out of Conrad straight into the chase, but Harris has the nose ahead, pushes Starrett all the way to the inside of the corner, holds the centre of the track. And Starrett's got no choice but to brake a little earlier, and that's it. Job done. Josh Harris takes P11.
Yeah, you would have thought that before that Jackson had that one, but one little mistake, that's what the mountain will do to you. That's why you got to continue to fight.
Speaking of mistakes, Harris just barely saves that. Bit of oversteer on the way out, and that's going to be an invitation for Starrett to get back into this and bring the battle back to Harris. I don't know if he's going to quite get it done, because Harris has to drive on the way out. Let's jump forward though. Ryan Palmer and Will Buchanan.
Yeah, I know. They've been at it, haven't they, for some time. They're matching 208.3s on the dial for their lap times, as Ryan Palmer just has a little trading paints into the fence there as well too. So he's scrubbed a bit of a speed too. Will Buchanan's well aware of that one, because he's been chasing that. He's got the sparks flying over the windscreen currently at the moment for the 281 Chevy.
Now, assuming no errors from either of these drivers, there's not actually a great deal of benefit at the moment for Buchanan doing anything silly to get past. Right, they're lapping, last time around 283, 283.4 respectively for Palmer and Buchanan. That's still closing a tenth a lap on Ethan Johnson and Thomas Hinz ahead, who were doing 284s last lap. So they're not going to catch Brett Loxton at this pace, but they are going to chip away at the gap to Thomas Hinz and to Ethan Johnson. So they've got an opportunity here to just settle into the rhythm and just start to make some ground together. I don't think that's what's going to happen though. This is not what I'm expecting from these two drivers.
There's only a certain point, is that if you're happy to do those 208.3 laps, that's great. But if Ryan Palmer makes a mistake and it's costing a little bit of time, Will has to seize the opportunity and get past. The only other difference is that those race leaders will start coming up to a little bit of lap traffic in about a lap or two from now. So that will mean how much time is that going to cost Brett and Ethan Johnson, and like the other drivers up the road? Because if you catch those lap cars up through the cutting, mate, there's really no way they can just lift off and let you past.
No. And there's very few opportunities for those cars to get out of the way. And Lipsky, look at him slow down here. He knows this is about the last opportunity to make sure that he doesn't get caught up in this.
Exactly.
So he gets all the way out of the way, and now he's going to hold up Thomas Wilson behind. So Lipsky sends it very wide. Wilson gets through. Thomas Wilson is closing in on this little battle here with Palmer and Buchanan, but still a little bit of a gap for the moment. Buchanan though, quite happy just sitting at the moment, 4 or 5 tenths off the back of Ryan Palmer in P4.
You got to think about this too, Jared. We are 55 minutes into this race. Believe it or not, there's only a 15-second gap between Will Buchanan and Brett Loxton right now. 15 seconds just separates them. It's not
we
a
say
lot in
only
an
15
endurance race.
seconds, but Loxton's pace, half of that gap is the gap from Loxton to Johnson in second. It's phenomenally quick. He is on another level and has been all season. So it's not surprising. We're very quickly approaching the 1 hour mark.
Skippy comes out across the track and he has to lift off, that's 7 seconds lost.
You're really hoping that iRacing has just snuck that in, aren't you?
Hey, the squeaky wheel gets all the oil. That's what my father told me.
Oh, he's not
Still
wrong.
tells me
He's not wrong.
It's like, get out there and put some WD-40 on it.
If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to Simple Racing Broadcast. It's great to have you here for round 7 of the MCV8 series presented by Domains2U.com.au and, of course, put on by MC Motorsport. As we see Thomas Wilson go in, I was thinking we should be getting pretty close to seeing the second pit stops happening, and Wilson was one of the earliest, so not surprised to see him the first in for pit stop number 2. This has been a cracker of a season. The battling continues on track as our drivers settle on in. We're going to take a quick break for a word from Domains2U, and we will be right back with more of Bathurst's action here tonight. Oh, big moment for Ryan Palmer just before we cut to that. Could this be the break that Buchanan needs? Unfortunately, that moment happened at one of the worst spots of the track for Buchanan to capitalise on that. Nowhere to go, just has to sit in behind. Palmer survives just barely, but it shows the sort of pressure he's under.
Struggling to get your business online? At Domains2U, we make it easy with fast domain registration, powerful web hosting, and top-tier security solutions. Our hosting solutions ensure speed, security, and reliability with 99.9% uptime and daily backups. Find the perfect domain name and get online in minutes. Get started today at Domains2U.com.au.
Welcome back, folks. We're still with this one. Palmer and Buchanan unchanged. A number of drivers through the pits. Ridley, Speck, Bakir, Gresh, Burns, Long and Lashbrook all getting their pit stops done now. Thomas Wilson, Josh Harris and Kyle Ridley all having made their second stop. And Brett Loxton comes in for his last stop of this race. Ethan Johnson follows not too far behind. Thomas Hinds comes in.
Yep, they got
There
top
goes
3 in, mate.
Palmer and Buchanan both in as well. This is such a difficult pit entry. These drivers will be pushing hard. But look at how much they have to straight line. Big move Buchanan into the short wall over on the side there. That's not ideal.
He was eager for his Vegemite sandwich.
He was a little bit.
Wow.
Now what's happened to Chris Lashbrook? It looks like he's perhaps getting some repairs done back there. And we see Buchanan and Palmer up onto the jacks. Buchanan actually up on the jacks a little bit quicker.
Oh, so he's as well.
His pit team, perhaps just a little bit more organised. iRacing does.
iRacing things?
Is this? I'm not sure whether Race Control are playing games with us or if they're calling a safety car as a bit of a. There's a bit of a strange one. We've just seen the message come through from Race Control: safety car, wildlife on track. Because are you getting? There is. Are you getting?
There is the kangaroo on track. You're right. It's been called. Jared, I saw Skippy out of the cutting, jumping on the track there. I think Race Control's right on top of that, and why not? We don't want Skip to get injured here.
I can't believe you've called it, Biggles.
Well, mate, we are Australians. We have to protect the wildlife, and I don't want to see.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, but geez,
a V8 supercar at 200 miles an hour.
That compresses the field massively for the last half hour of this race. We have just entered that final 30 minutes, and Brett Loxton's gap has evaporated as the safety car comes out on track. and we
There's
go
going to
for a
work out
slow
brilliant
lap.
for some of those pit stops, isn't it? Because they just came in. A whole bunch of the field just came in about. Unless, of course, they got the call before.
Yeah, I do wonder if they've had the call on radio that we haven't got here in the broadcast booth, of course. Have they?
Down
heard
Kangaroo,
it?
do we? Skip's not down, is he?
Look, I mean, they're not saying incident.
We can't show that on the screen.
They're not
Jared,
saying
don't show
incident,
that on
and
screen.
I'm not seeing any issues with any cars having accidents. So I imagine it's just a precautionary.
Could be a little wombat crawling on the track as well.
Jamie Dyke has enough time to drop a comment in to the YouTube chat while he sits in 7th position, up 12
He's 12
spots.
up, Jamie Dyke. Yeah.
Huge
all right.
drive. Thomas Wilson behind him, up 10 spots. There he is, just a little
Jared, do
further
we have
back
a
in the
chance to chat to any of these drivers at the moment whilst we're under the caution?
Let's maybe bring Josh Harris in and have a bit of a chat to
See if
him.
he knows about what happened to the poor Skip.
So we welcome Josh Harris to the booth, mate. How are you going out there?
Fantastic, mate. I'm having a wonderful night.
It looks like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
Right up until we see a bit of wildlife on the track, and we've got a safety car out. Has race control given you any indication of how long they expect this to carry on, or?
No, but I expect it'll be one more. He'll be in next lap. The train's nearly formed now, so.
What a way to compress the field. It's an interesting one. I don't mind it. I don't mind the bit of realism being added here, because it is that kind of a time of day, isn't it?
Did you see Skippy at all on the track there, Josh? Because we saw a couple of skips there, just trying to jump the fence there before.
I actually didn't. I happened to be on my way into pits, and the safety car got called at a pretty good time for me. So, it was it's all part of it, and we can press the field now, and by the time we get going we'll have 24 minutes of racing, so it'll be a good fun stint, and just an opportunity to condense us back up and get this race underway.
Well, plenty more racing to go, mate. We'll let you concentrate and keep those tyres warm, and just a little bit longer left in this race. We'll see how you end up. Your teammate though, Ryan Palmer, have you had a chat to him? How's he feeling up in 5th at the moment?
No, he's pretty comfortable. He's doing a great job. He's always super fast here. It's this is his pet track. I'm nowhere near as fast here, so I'm just trying to keep my nose out of trouble and see how we go. Had a little bit of an incident with Jackson Starrett a couple of laps ago, so if he watches this back, apologies, mate. Certainly didn't mean to get into you. But we'll see how we go. And just while I'm up here, Jared, just want to say a big g'day to Hayley. She should be tuning in. She's a little bit too shy to get into comments, but she watches every week. So hello, and I hope you're having fun.
G'day, Hayley. Good to have you along with us as always. Mate, thanks as always for taking the time to chat to us. We'll send you back up to your team. Here's hoping we see you with a top 10 finish when all said and done here, hey?
Thanks, mate. Have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.
Josh Harrison
Nice
joining
boots
us
there, Josh Harris.
on the ADHD vehicle out on track, and David Coleman, unfortunately unable to race any further this season. It hasn't been the same without you, Dave. It hasn't, honestly. Not enough fishy cars in the field. But the foot cam is a nice touch. Something that Josh rigged up for us.
Is it made out of like koala fur or something like that? I hope not.
What's that? The boots.
The boots there, of course.
I
you just saw there from Josh Harris.
I don't know. I would have just assumed they're Uggies in some way, shape or form.
Uggies.
It's quintessentially Australian.
Here at Simple, Broadcast Racing Network, we do not support the condemning the use of koala fur on racing boots, right, Jared?
No, exactly. Uggies are all you need. Uggies are all you need. That or the grippy socks that you can find from your local trampoline park, or perhaps your local mental health institution. I don't know how good their grippy socks are actually, but I assume they're probably not bad for sim racing as well.
They're grippy.
I mean, they're grippy.
But how
that's
grippy
all you
can
need.
Brett be? Now he has, for the first time in a long time, he has to deal with the likes of the Henry James Racing entry of Thomas Hens there and Ethan Johnson in P3. So re-rack them, restack them. It's going to be fun, my friend. as mentioned there from Josh Harris, we have about 24 minutes remaining in this endurance race. Those second round of pit stops are done and dusted. Should be a sprint to the end, right?
It should be at this point. Looking down the tower, the only car not to make the second stop so far is Vince Salvatore in P16. So, look, he's gonna have a second stop to make at some stage, but his first stop was fairly late. So maybe he's trying to do this as a one-stopper. I can't see that happening. You know, it was lap 17, so it wasn't that late.
The wave through just goes by. Yeah, it's quite possibly, my friend, for the number Chris Lashbrook goes to zoom on bound, but we believe that the pace car will be in this lap anyway, so I don't think he's going to have enough time in the old Bathurst circus to get his way around and catch the rest of the snake. But safety cars breed safety cars.
Well, this is the risk now, isn't it? You know, the compressed field. We haven't seen this many drivers in such close proximity since lap 1, really. I think there's an absolute risk of carnage here, and probably at Hell Corner if we're not careful. G'day, Haley. Good to see you popping your head in.
Hello. Yeah, exactly.
And nice to hear you'll be back for season 3, Dave. Got to get some more fishy representation in the field.
Yeah, Dave.
Always a pleasure having the team along.
Thanks for chatting anyway, Dave. And Dave, please give us a little bit of driver's feedback out there as well too. You can be our Ted Pit Lane reporter out there in the chat. We'd much be appreciated.
Loxton has the field under control. Let's see where he decides to make the jump here as they come on down towards Murray's Corner. The control line just around this turn, so he doesn't have long before he'll need to make the jump here. Here they come. And we are racing once again. Immediately, we see Ryan Palmer going side by side with Will Buchanan on the way in to Hell Corner. There's contact. There's contact there, but they look to have made it through. It's going to cost them some time, though. Buchanan finds himself off the track, and that allows Aaron Gilbert through. So immediately we're back into it. And we've got 2, 3
Jamie
wide.
Dyke as well, putting his nose
inside.
up the inside. Yes, my friend. Oh, Jamie Dyke up 13 places, making it 12. Can't get it done
wide.
yet.
Loses a few places, but keeps it off the wall, which is the important part. We've got 22 minutes left to go here at Bathurst, folks. There is not a lot of time left for these drivers to make up the last positions that they're likely to find here at Mount Panorama. Jamie Dyke sitting in 9th, Henry King just ahead, Thomas Wilson the next car up. Keep your eye on Salhani and Harris behind. And Thorne clearly not keen on the enforced safety car, mate. That's okay. It's not for everybody. But, you know, where's the fun in a field separated by 5 or 6 seconds to every car as well?
Skippy doesn't find it too fun of you jumping across the track there with V8 supercars. Ethan Johnson putting massive pressure on Thomas as well, too, as the top 3 are starting to check out from Ryan Palmer. But I think at the moment, Ethan Johnson is saying, hey, my friend, I had P2 and you've stolen away from me, Thomas. I want it back. And Thomas is saying, hey, I need all the points I can in this championship because Brett's up the road there and he's the man that I need to beat in points.
Yeah, this is the interesting one. Loxton and Hins up front. I mean, those are your championship leaders right now. They're in absolute box seat. And you'd have to imagine, unless they start really batting hard. And speaking of, there's
Contact.
the moment. Contact from Johnson into Hins. It doesn't matter if Johnson redresses that because Hins now finds himself all the way down in 12th, soon to be 13th as Jackson Starrett races up the inside. Ridley's going to have a go at this as well. He puts a nose in tomorrow's corner. He's going to take a position as well. Thomas Hins back to 14th. That's going to be huge. Hins has got a lot of work to do and not a lot of time left to do it. He pushes ahead of Kyle Ridley. Brett Loxton's still out in front, but that has really reset a lot of this field. Ethan Johnson still in 3rd. I will almost guarantee there's a penalty coming for Johnson for that one. The only question is how much. I'm going to tip about 10 seconds.
Yep, race control
with no redress there, but have a look at Ryan Palmer behind. He's up into 4th. He gets up the inside of Will Buchanan. Palmer, all of a sudden, can smell a podium.
Yep, absolutely fantastic job there for the ADHD racing entrance, and behind him is a huge shenanigans of snaking drivers there. Thomas Wilson, Jamie Dyke, Henry King, James Sahani, Josh Harris. They're all in there trying to gain some crucial positions here in the sprint race with 19 minutes remaining in this race. Don't forget about Ethan Johnson, Aaron Gilbert up currently at the moment into P2, taking advantage of that unfortunate situation.
Wilson and Dyke here, both up 12 positions since the start of this race. So they're hot on the heels of Buchanan. Henry King behind them. Then a bit of a gap back to Josh Harris in 9th. Martin Lipsky's had a bit of an issue further back in the field, but shouldn't impact on the rest of the field further up. Adrian Gresh has gone around up and over the top of Skyline. We'll go back and take a look and see. Is that over the top of Skyline?
It might have been lucky enough further back that it hasn't caused the track.
There we go, down through the S's.
Yeah,
he's just locked it up and into the wall on the way down through the S's. Unfortunate for him.
Keep an eye from Ryan Palmer. And Ethan Johnson's made a mistake as well too. Out of the chase, I believe, and it looks like it looks like Ryan Palmer's going to put some pressure on at the moment.
Look at these drivers diving side to side. Thomas Wilson, wow, really wants to have a crack now. Will Buchanan, this group of 5, this battle for 3rd. Realistically, any of these drivers could find themselves on the podium here. We wait with bated breath, though, to see what sort of penalty, if any, comes Ethan Johnson's way.
Jamie Dyke Jamie Dyke's going to go almost on the grass in the background as well to try to get his way past Thomas Wilson.
It's going to be well established
at this point.
It's going to be absolutely on the inside of his turn, leaving plenty of space, not squeezing Wilson as hard as you might expect. But it's going to be enough for Jamie Dyke to just block the exit there. Puts his car in front and grabs on to another position. So he's up into 6th. Wilson has a big look up the inside. Thinks about trying to steal that position back. In the end, thinks better of it. Jamie Dyke now will start to close that gap back up that he's has allowed to open. In the background, James Salhani and Josh Harris battling out. Harris is up into the top 10s, currently sitting 9th. And then, of course, just behind them, you've got Starrett, Ridley and Burns locked in as well. Keep your eye on Thomas Hinds after that fall through the pack with the contact from Johnson. Sitting in 11th right now. This could actually make a significant difference in the championship standings. Will Buchanan up in 5th. Will definitely pick up some distance on Thomas Hinds. I have no idea just where this is going to end, but Hinds is going to be probably just trying to do the numbers after this. I mean, we'll have the points at the end of this race, and of course, there's no more drop rounds, so all these points count. We'll have a very good idea at the end of this race of just how the championship standings look going into the final round at Road Atlanta next week.
He was 5 points off this one, and off Brett Loxton going into this round. Brett Loxton looking to take the victory here at the moment, but you never know what's going to happen. Thomas is on the back foot here, 11 positions, P11, and he's about to take P1 there from James Sahani at the inside there in the Hell's Corner. He's going to have to send it. He will send it. James is on the outside, forced out into the outside lane there, into the kitty litter, and Thomas is going to be fighting his way back up to the field here. Every single point in this championship hunt for the finale coming up next week is crucial for the man second in the championship. But James hasn't given up, actually. He set it back up the inside, says bingo, blocks him. Thomas has got a fight on his hands.
He absolutely does. Jamie Dyke, meanwhile, already has closed the gap to Will Buchanan, so he's back in the hunt. Got himself past Thomas Wilson and just carried on. So all of that time he's been saving, he's been just lapping around, up 13 spots right now. What can he make of it by the end of this? That will be the question. We've got an interesting one going on here. Salhani's still in front of Thomas Hinds somehow.
Yep.
He's
doing a solid job
Hinds
there.
Hinds needs to be careful. he needs to be really careful here. He needs to make up some spots. He needs to gain a few extra points here if he can in this last 15 minutes of this race. But you're not going to get much in the way of points for finishing dead last if you crash yourself out. And that's the risk that he runs as he pushes hard to get past Salhani and try and get back into the top 10. David Coleman, look, live points are on my list to do. It's a little tricky with our broadcast software, but never you mind. It's on my to-do list, and I can assure you that it's something that has been suggested and is being worked on by the software developers for SDK, and they do a fantastic job.
It's not amazing. Yeah. You got to give it good. Jared does a fantastic job. I know the same situation. I broadcast many leagues, and it's not something you can just pull up on a fly. But if anybody can figure it out, Jared can.
It'd be good too, but I haven't quite got it there yet. Well, look, I can probably have an interesting crack at it.
Well, it also involves push comes to shove, you have somebody actually type it all in. And
there is
that fly. That's not easy to do as well. Especially when you put the bike. So he's broadcasting the race as well too. So try to go across the side and do that. If you had a big network team like they do on iRacing, of course,
you just have 2 or 3 minutes into your ear, wouldn't you?
Somebody would do that immediately for you, of course. But we're keeping it real. We're keeping it simple. Yeah,
absolutely. Now that said, Will Buchanan, Thomas Hinz. Buchanan's in 5th. Thomas Hinz sitting in 11th. As it stands right now, there's going to be 42 points. Just checking my math quickly. As it stands right now, Will Buchanan will go up by 42 points on Thomas Hinz.
Thomas Hinz, yes.
Now, what that means in terms of the overall standings, the gap at the start of this race was only 18 points. So, the gap to Thomas Hinz, who is our championship leader, actually, over Brett Loxton, the gap is 23 points. So, Brett Loxton will certainly jump to the lead, but Will Buchanan, at this stage, will take 2nd place. Thomas Hinz will drop to 3rd as well. Thomas Wilson will also actually close the gap bit as well. I don't have the mental math for that at the moment, but I tell you what, it is going to be an absolute cracker of a final round when this is all said and done. And we've got just over 10 minutes left for all of these drivers to try and just make something of it.
Yeah, and you have to give it to it because it's going to be a big battle at the moment there for 4th, 5th and 6th as well too. You have to say Brett Loxton's got this one in control as he's had this race in control from pole. Aaron Gilbert didn't an opportunity there. Go ahead.
Ryan Palmer is starting to put the defensive moves in. He really wants to hold on to this 4th place. He's sitting on the inside of the turns. Will Buchanan is going to have to drive around him. But Jamie Dyke taking full advantage of
there's
of
a
this
fence
situation.
there. You can't drive around him, Jared.
I mean, it won't stop him giving it a good shot. There's plenty of room on track if you can squeeze your way through. Vince Salvatore's in for that 2nd pit stop now. So we knew that was going to happen at some point. I'll tell you what, it's getting dark here. Sun going down. Bit of cloud around at Bathurst.
The Earth is rotating away from the sun, thank you.
Fair. The Earth is rotating to hide the sun from Mount Panorama.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll get it right. Otherwise, we're going to have Neil deGrasse on my case.
This remains the closest battle on track. Mitch Curry, MC Motorsport himself, checking on in. Mate, you're not wrong. We've said that a few times, haven't we? DJ is look, I wouldn't call him a defensive master, but he's certainly no amateur. He's pretty accomplished at being very, very difficult to pass.
Mitch Curry, we have no we have no Curry corner. I mean,
there's plenty of beach there. Plenty of beach there for Mitch Curry to come and hang out on. Have a look at this. Salhani's now caught Josh Harris He's thinking about the move up the inside. Can't quite get it done there, but Thomas Hin's right there with him. So Hin's, look, he's gonna look for an opportunity to pass Salhani, but if Salhani makes a move like this, oh, look out, we're going 3 wide into Murray's. This is not going to end well.
No!
Where's the contact going to be? Salhani gets squeezed out wider. He had to leave the room for Thomas Hin's there, and Hin's was not going to give it up. So Salhani drops back. Thomas Hin's picks up one more spot. Every spot is going to count at this point. He needs as many points as he can possibly regain in the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Josh Harris is next on his list.
I think the other drivers need to be aware of that Thomas is fighting for a championship here. So he will throw that car in places that you should not throw a motor vehicle because he needs to get crucial points here. He knows that Brett Loxton's in the lead of this race with a hurdle of points. So he's going to fight it. Kyle Ridley, Jackson Starrett, everybody else around him needs to be aware. He's going to just close his eyes and send that car into a corner because he's got everything to risk.
Oh, absolutely.
In the penultimate round of the championship.
Something we haven't checked in on here. Aaron Gilbert and Ethan Johnson just ahead of the pack we've been watching with Ryan Palmer at the head of it. Gilbert and Johnson unable to be separated at the moment. Johnson absolutely finding the pace 0.3 quicker on the previous lap than Aaron Gilbert. Both of these drivers not touching Brett Loxton, who's extended the lead while everyone's battling it out back here to almost 8 seconds. He's basically regained everything that he lost when that safety car came out earlier. That's a phenomenal drive from Loxton. I've got no other words for it. It is absolutely next level, well, and it's amazing to watch, even if we don't actually spend much time watching him.
Yeah, the battle for B2 is not over yet because
Johnson
Ethan Johnson's sitting on the inside. Oh, he's got it. He might have it. He very much has the legs customs. It sounds like the computer powering that 491 Chevy has the job done. Aaron Gilbert now back into P3. So not enough for Ethan Johnson, not enough time, I'd have to say, for Johnson to catch Brett Loxton. But
we are going 3 wide here because
yes,
Jamie Dyke, Will Buchanan, Thomas Wilson just gets the nose cut off by Buchanan. They were about to try and go 3 wide into Hell Corner. That was never going to be a fun time for anybody. Ryan Palmer breathes a sigh of relief because that's bought him just a few extra tenths here. As Jamie Dyke and Will Buchanan stayed at the inside of the track, Thomas Wilson is betting on the outside. He's going to have to be careful though, because if there is any issue here, they're going to slide out into him. Wilson, contact with Buchanan, just a little nudge. The battle continues. Ryan Palmer extends by another couple of tenths. He's loving this.
Not sponsored by McDonald's, but absolutely we are loving it, and I'm loving it. Thomas Wilson, Will Buchanan. Oh, where do you go, my friend?
So the back of the field is through on Harris.
Yeah. Ends up in a P9 now. Damage limitation there for the man that's leading the championship going in, but will be not leading it going out.
This is where it's happened. Hell Corner. Thomas Hinds just chucks the nose in, charges on through. Nothing to it. The RF Designs replay bringing us all the action as it has been all season. And it's been fantastic to have them supporting the MC series right throughout. It's what makes it all possible, isn't it? Bit of love from the sponsors never hurts.
Thank you. Absolutely. Goes a long way.
Does Josh Harris
Motorsports in Australia
just barely hanging on to this top 10 spot for the moment. Salhani though is going to do everything he can to reel him in here. Look, if you're Josh Harris at this point, I mean, you're not going to be upset with finishing a couple spots further back in amongst this sort of company. You've got Salhani, Ridley, Starrett and Burns right on your tail. Harris will hold his own here. He's probably got another, 3 laps, I reckon. I think we're probably about 3 laps to go.
Little mistake from Will Buchanan, gone top wide. Thomas Wilson gets past.
So
that's right, Jared. You got to remember these drivers have actually gone, give or take an hour 24, and not to mention their practice and all that sort of stuff in here. So they've been sweating it out in their cockpits for a good hour and a half. And so, of course, they want to see that checkered flag. They want to see Barney waving it. And they got 4 minutes and change to get it done it's at that crucial point as we go back to Kyle, James, Jackson Starrett, all tooth and nail. It's going to be
Josh
fun.
Harris trying to hold off two cars at once. Salhani's going to jam it up the inside of Ridley here. Ridley has to stay wide. He's off in the marbles. That's going to cost him a lot of grip. And Jackson Starrett goes through as well.
It's blinding up here too.
Absolutely is.
Jared, on the cockpit view, that's the southern sunset just setting in there, and it just blinds you up into that corner.
Yeah,
All
mate,
they see
tried
is
in
car.
VR. You cannot see a thing coming up the hill with the sun in your face. And it's a little unnerving, to say the least. Let's jump forward now. Have a look at Ryan Palmer. He's got Jamie Dyke now as the only one close. So after that moment for Will Buchanan, Thomas Wilson's got through, but both of them really dropped off the back of Jamie Dyke, and Palmer hanging in there. Now we've seen Palmer and Dyke going toe-to-toe with defensive efforts over a long stretch in a previous round. As we see now, Henry King, Will Buchanan's lost the front of his car somewhere along the way.
Dear.
I reckon that'll be that tap on the wall at the exit Murray's just before crossing the start-finish line. Henry King goes through, makes it look easy. Buchanan at this stage just has to drive it to the end because all of that gain that he had, Thomas Hins, now finishing only one spot behind Buchanan. This championship race is not going to be perhaps quite as tight as it was looking a moment ago.
Well, it's going to bring it back, and he's still got the pressure on Henry King. I have to say, he might even think about setting on the inside. No, he won't, into Hell's Corner. So he's going to have to follow if he has the damage. But the thing is, he wants to stick with him because 6 seconds is a eternity here in Bathurst. It'll be enough, I'd say, to hold off a very quick Thomas Hins lurking in the background, the number 78 Ford.
Stelhani and Harris side by side up Mountain Straight. This might be the white flag lap, of course. iRacing giving us all sorts of grief with not actually seeing white flags called. Oh, there's contact there. Stelhani gets squeezed to the outside. Harris says, "No, thank you. I'm holding on to this." That is an interesting defensive maneuver. Oh, contact. Jackson Starrett turns across the front of Stelhani. He's backwards.
He's
into the
facing
wall.
backwards. Yeah.
With what must only be one more lap at most after
He's
this.
off the racing line, but that's a dangerous place.
How is he going to get this
hope.
moving? Jackson Starrett is going to absolutely tumble down the order here.
He's still got Ronald, Matt, Vince, a few other cars to come around. He should have enough gap here. He does a perfect spin. He is back there, Jared. But thankfully, no caution car to be called late in this race at the moment, because I'm sure Brett Loxton would like to finish this race under green flag conditions.
Yeah, you would think so, wouldn't you? Harris now doing everything he can to hold off Kyle Ridley. Salhani's dropped further back after that little moment with Harris earlier. But Ridley is going to keep the pressure up, so Harris cannot relax for a moment. Salhani will be trying to get back onto the back of this as well. Ryan Palmer now under pressure. Coming out of the chase, Jamie Dyke right on his tail. Dyke's looking to the inside, trying to throw Palmer off his game. We know Ryan Palmer can hold Jamie Dyke at bay for quite some time, but this looks dangerous. Palmer moves across the inside, across the nose of Jamie Dyke. He's going to squeeze him to the outside as we get to Hell Corner. This will be dangerous. Dyke is going to push him all the way to the inside.
Yeah,
a little bit of contact, but Dyke has to pull out of the corner. Ryan Palmer, tell you what, he's hanging in there. This will be the last lap, folks. We won't see the white flag come out because iRacing, as we know, is having a few issues with that at the moment. But this will be the last lap for these drivers. So Jamie Dyke has to throw everything at Ryan Palmer here if he wants to take this spot. Palmer will be feeling pretty comfortable at the moment. Nowhere near as comfortable, of course, as Brett Loxton out in front. He's got this one pretty well wrapped up.
Yeah, he's just he's cruising at home. He's not coasting at home, he's cruising at home. His last lap was at 207.63, no slouch, the quickest man on the track by far. 8-second gap to his nearest component there of Ethan Johnson, who started that place in P2. Brett Loxton put it on pole, that fantastic lap there in the dying stages of the top 10 shootout to get it done. and he's looking to take not only the victory of this race, but the lead of the championship into the all-important finale.
It's been an absolutely amazing drive from Loxton, and no great surprises in that. Really, we've seen it all season. It looks though at this stage, barring a late move from Jamie Dyke, Ryan Palmer might just manage to close out a fourth place. We're going to stay with this as long as we can. But Brett Loxton, we have to give him his dues.
Yeah.
Here he comes around the corner for the last time. Brett Loxton takes the checkered flag and the win here for the Bathurst Enduro. Round 7 wrapped up. And as they come across the line, Ethan Johnson in second, Aaron Gilbert in third, Ryan Palmer just barely across the line before Jamie Dyke and Thomas Wilson, less than 2/10 in it between them. As we wait
Thomas
now,
Wilson, Henry King, and also James Sahani, Jared Burns.
here comes
Beck.
Josh Harris. He'll come home with a top 10 finish. James Salhani at the death. Overcooks it. Can he get it moving again? Down to 14th.
He's got to get it moving.
Can he
Luke
get it
Speck's
across
around
the
the corner.
line before
I don't think he will.
Robbie Bradbury?
He does.
Just gets it
Wow.
home before Bradbury. The gap there, just a 10th. As we wait on the rest of the field coming through, Ronald Long crosses in 16th. Jackson Starrett, after that unfortunate crash, in 17th. Matt Bakir will be back in 18th. Vince Salvatore and Chris Lashbrook will make their way home. But what a drive for Brett Loxton. An absolutely phenomenal drive right throughout. And you've got to hand it to him. It's just another stellar drive from Loxton. He's absolutely dominated this the whole way through, and you see him just enjoying himself up the mountain.
style.
Well, why not? Why not?
Yeah, man, my friend, he's got the now the leader of the championship with a big target painted on his back for the rest of the field here, because he's going to hit.
Well, Thomas
he's got
Hinds
a
and
big
Will
gap
Buchanan,
going
they'll
into
be the
this.
only ones that can compete here.
Yeah, I know.
There's
So Brett's going to be like, he's going to be thinking about pole for the next race. Just get out there, and I don't think he's proven this before. Once Brett's up the road in clean air, I don't think anybody can touch him.
No, it's he's just too fast. No two ways about it. As we go to
Meg Curry,
the results,
thank you for that
g'day
one.
Meg.
It
Glad
is
you're
great
enjoying it.
racing.
Always
And
great to have
we'll
you
hear
on.
from these drivers too, Meg, if you stick around, of course. Going to hear from Brett Loxton, Ethan Johnson, Aaron Gilbert as well too, for that fantastic top 3 positions. It was Aaron Gilbert that got himself up for the Team Jinx shifters to P3, 1 position gain, but no changes between the top 2. Jared.
Now, provisional standings. Brett Loxton first, 300 points. Ethan Johnson second, 291. Aaron Gilbert in third, 282. And Ryan Palmer comes home in fourth. Now, I say, and I emphasise provisional, because we still haven't seen if there will be a penalty applied for Ethan Johnson and the contact made earlier with... Who was that? Oh, I'm trying to remember now. All I remember is that Ethan Johnson wiped out Thomas Hinds. It was Thomas Hinds, of course.
Thomas Hinds, yes.
So with that incident earlier, I suspect that Ethan Johnson will probably land himself with either a 5 or a 10-second penalty, which will take him from second back to either 7th or even a 10-second penalty. So I reckon we'll see Ethan Johnson actually dropping to 7th. Will be my tip. But for the moment, we will run with provisional points as the points that count here tonight. So look, a cracking drive from a lot of these drivers tonight. Jamie Dyke had an amazing drive. Thomas Wilson as well, coming home in 6th. Henry King, Will Buchanan. Thomas Hinds did a great job to recover to 9th. Josh Harris sneaks into the top 10, just barely holding off Ridley, Burns and Speck. James Salhani, of course, would have been up there with Ridley and Burns, but unfortunately just overcooked it on that last corner. Then Further back through the field, Robbie Bradbury and Ronald Long ahead of Starrett and Bakir. Vince Salvatore and Chris Lashbrook rounding out your top 20. Then Martin Lipsky and Adrian Gresh, unfortunately, not managing to cross the line in the end with just too much damage suffered here tonight to actually finish the race off. So not the ideal for them, but that does mean that we will have some potential championship standings to talk to you about. You ready for this, Biggles? I almost feel like I need a drum roll button, but you know how I feel about soundboards. I'm sure you do. So the provisional standings as we get into the final round.
The provisional standings
Look a little something like this. Brett Loxton gains the lead after being only a few points behind Thomas Hinz, jumps to 1,708 points. Thomas Hinz, 1,647. Will Buchanan, 1,630. It's going to be a very, very tough ask for Thomas Hinz to regain that top spot next round. And in fact, I think the biggest battle we will see next round will be for second and third between Hinz and Buchanan. That will all come down to the final round at Road Atlanta. Thomas Wilson, pretty well established there in fourth position, and I'd be pretty confident that Ryan Palmer should finish the season in fifth as well. Then Aaron Gilbert and Kyle Ridley ahead of James Salhani, and Josh Harris maintains his position inside the top 10. Henry King sneaks in ahead of Jared Burns. Jamie Dyke, look, honestly, 12th position, you can't be too upset considering the number of races that he's missed lately. He's actually doing it pretty well in amongst it there. And then a few other moves as well. Jimmy Anides and Dean Powell, unfortunately, not making it tonight, and so they will drop down the order as a number of other drivers pick up some points here this evening. But really, the story tonight, Brett Loxton has just snuck in and jumped to that top spot with that incident with Thomas Hinz, where he was unceremoniously dumped from the track by Ethan Johnson. And yeah, look, I think that regardless of the penalty, Biggles, that Ethan may land himself with there, it's not going to compare to the impact that I think that's just had on Hinz' championship here. I don't think Hinz will be too disappointed that it's still a Team Drink Shifters 1-2 at the moment, but he was looking good for a potential, at least to be battling for the championship win in the final round. I don't know that it's going to be possible to make up a gap of what is now 61 points to Brett Loxton.
Well, you got to risk it for the biscuit, and hats off to the drivers for doing it, because this is the make or break race. So now, as you know, Brett's the one that they all have to beat. So they'll essentially, and I don't condemn people ganging up and trying to bully somebody into that, but they got to work together now to bring it to Brett, because Brett's the man that's going to be basically got almost two hands on this championship trophy at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. What a race, though. As a penultimate round, you can't argue with Bathurst as a cracking location to put it on. Folks, it's been an absolute pleasure to bring this to you once again this week. Biggles, mate, one round left to go. Road Atlanta. Thomas Hinz, Will Buchanan will want to be getting in the practice now, because it is all going to come down to this final round. It's not an endurance round, so it's not big points on offer for an individual race like we've seen here tonight.
But they're gold points, my friend. You want to bite into them and go, "Oh, they'd be gold points." Yes, because they're championship points.
Well, and this is the thing, right? You've got, given that it's a feature round at Road Atlanta, there's 100 points on offer for the winner of the sprint, and then 200 points on offer for the winner of the feature. There's still a decent number of points there. The real question is going to be just how far apart Hinz and Buchanan finish in those two races, and what that might look like.
You're saying that Brett's going to finish enough to win? I mean, there's always a chance that something might go wrong.
There's a possibility. Stranger things have happened, but
it ain't over yet, my friend.
It's absolutely not. It's absolutely not. Folks, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you along once again this evening. On behalf of everyone at the MC Motorsport team and here at Simple Racing Broadcast, a very big thank you for tuning in once again this week. And of course, from my point of view, a massive thank you as always, Biggles, for joining me in the booth tonight. It's been a cracker once again.
Thank you, sir.
And a massive shout out to all of our sponsors, Domains2U.com.au, of course, making this season what it is as the primary sponsor here of the MCV8 series. One round left to go. Road Atlanta even beckons next week, where we will see a new champion crowned. And look, I don't know about you, but I cannot wait to see how this one turns out in that battle for second and third. Make sure you don't miss any of the action. Tune back in again next week as we bring the final round to you from the MCV8 series. And if you can't wait that long for more racing action, make sure you're back again tomorrow night when we kick off with another round of the Alliance Sim Racing V8 Supercar Series, or indeed on Thursday night when the return of the Formula Drivers League comes back to Simple Racing Broadcast. We've got plenty of racing action going on. Don't miss any of it. Until we see you again, though, it is goodbye for now.